Hello, everybody, and welcome to Encounter Roleplay. No, it's not Encounter Roleplay, it's Kobold Press. My name is Will. I'm a D&D Sex Psycho. Back today. Oh my goodness. It's happened at last. After many eons, it seems like, of being away, we are finally all back together, little family. For the World Tree Burns, it's season 3, it's episode 1. You guys are here live. Welcome to the Kobold Press channel. We've moved from Encounter Roleplay, and now we're over here all the time, every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. So, I am, of course, going to be playing Regrouping today, but let's go around the custom crew, meet the rest of the players, remind ourselves of who we are, and, of course, who we're going to be playing today. Let's meet Dan. Dylan, Dan, how's it been? How you doing? What's happened in the past months or so while you've been away?
Oh man, what's happened? I have ripped my life up by the roots and hurled it 2,000 miles to the west. I moved to Seattle from Indianapolis. We're still transitioning and settling there, but it's getting there. It's getting there. This is going to help me feel back more at home and ready to go. So I'm doing great. I'm ready to play some D&D, and I'm so delighted to see all your lovely faces again.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And of course, we have McCloak back of us today. As Cloak. McCloak, how's it going, my friend? It's been too long.
It has been too long. I've missed your beautiful face. Hello, everyone. I'm McCloak. Today I'll be playing our lovable gnome ranger named Cloak, who tells the truth and is honest all the times. And you know what? Only has the best of company. I'm excited. I'm glad we're back, and I'm worried what's going to happen now. But only time can tell.
A very stress-free couple of Tuesdays for me.
I'm just telling you, Dan. Cloak's not going to make it in prison because he's just going to miss a step the fuck out of there. So
prison.
They're going to take his. In prison. They're going to take his cloak.
Oh shit! No.
What will he be without the cloak? Oh my lord. Well, of course we have Scarlet Morph back with us this season. Scarlet, how's it going?
Hello, I've missed everyone's beautiful faces. I've been going through withdrawals every Tuesday and just huddling in the corner, shaking back and forth. I am very excited for whatever stress comes this way. And yeah, I'm going to be playing Rowen, the Ravenfolk cleric of Wotan, who has a few secrets of her own and does not want to go to jail.
Fantastic. I'm going to jump over to Simply. How are you? How's it been? What's new? Who are you playing?
Hi, I'm Simply Jackson. It's been a thing. I found out Dan was moving to Seattle, so I was like, well, I guess I'm moving to Seattle too. So in the same time frame, we pretty much both moved up here for separate reasons, so now I can throw a rock and hit him, which was my plan all along. And I played Tilly, our resident fighter. She's probably forgot her Scottish accent, and she's probably been to jail once or twice, so it's probably fine. It's gonna be fine.
Fantastic stuff. And of course, joining us this season, we have the Birdie-saurus. Birdie, how's it going? How you doing? Welcome to the crew. Talk to us about how you're gonna be playing tonight as well.
Yeah, thank you so much. It is an absolute honor to be here. I know we all miss Glass, but hopefully I can just fill in a little bit of that hole. I am Birdie, aka the Birdie-saurus, and I am a sometimes variety streamer on Twitch, but more often than not, I'm on other people's channels playing games like this. And I am playing a very interesting Gearforged warlock named Landis, and he's got a bit of a troubled past, but he's trying to atone. So we'll see how that goes with this group.
Well, we're all about troubled pasts and atonement. None more so than Regrouping, the Dampier cleric. I'm back today. It's been too long. Oh, well,
Paladin.
I've been up to no good.
He's a paladin these days.
I'm not a cleric anymore. Awkward.
You don't have a drug anymore.
No drugs, off the drugs, off the clericism and the drugs, and just onto to being a paladin nowadays, and hunting down heretics and killing them wherever I can find them. So you better watch out, world, because I'm coming to burn you and your trees. So yeah, that's the cast and crew who we're going to be playing today. If you've missed the previous stuff that we've been doing on the World Tree Burns, you can head over to the Encounter Roleplay YouTube channel and catch up with the previous 2 seasons that we've done of the World Tree Burns. But if you're new to the show and you've never met these characters before, then don't worry, because this will also be a great jumping in point as well. It is episode 1, so we'll be reintroducing characters and the storyline and everything that's happened so far as well. A little bit of housekeeping as well. Glaz isn't with us this season. That's because Tool Squall, unfortunately, is very busy in the real world, and unfortunately schedules don't always work out when you've got things like jobs and real life things to do. So fortunately we won't see Glaz for the whole season, but we're hoping to get a little bit of Glaz action somewhere in the season as well. So don't worry, those of us, we all love Glaz. Obviously his story, I feel like, isn't totally ended yet, so I know that he and Dan have been cooking up on a little something for you guys. But speaking of Dan, I'll hand over to you, Dan, to talk us, I guess, a little bit about what happened in the previous seasons, maybe a little quick recap, and I guess just dive into episode 1 of the new season of The World Tree Burns.
Sure, let's do it. So this is The World Tree Burns, a Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition campaign set in the Midgard campaign setting from Kobold Press. Midgard is a dark fantasy world where nations are constantly at war, the gods are meddling in the affairs of mortals, and darkness creeps across the land. Heroes are required and called to glory, and if they don't step up and stand against the rising tide of evil, all will surely be lost. In our previous seasons, we have seen our intrepid heroes sort of come together, scurry about through the cartways, a network of tunnels, smugglers' passages, and forgotten crypts beneath the free city of Zobek. Zobek is the shining jewel of the crossroads of central Midgard. It's a cosmopolitan city, a trade hub for both land routes and river travel as well. It is known for its esoteric studies of magic, where even the enigmatic Shadow Fae come to trade their secrets. The gear forged and clockwork magics originate from Zobek, and you can hear the gear grinders and various clockmakers throughout the city tinkering away. The mercenaries stretch out from this area, passing from one of the 7 cities to another. They trade with the dwarves of the Iron Crag cantons, the mountains just outside of Zobek. And previously, we had become embroiled in the dark machinations of the Blood Kingdom, a creeping empire of vampires and their ghoulish allies that have taken over the countries to the north. Riodan found some of his dark past came back to haunt him in the form of a vampire priestess called Cosinia, and she was haunting him as he struggled through a crisis of faith, shepherded by old friends and new, while devils set upon you from places unknown, and other devils seemed to take a hand in your favor, tipping some of the battles surprisingly away from certain defeat. And we left in sort of a dire resolution after you had destroyed the vampire lady Cosinia in the noble house of a noblewoman of Zobek named Anastasia Zealous, who for quite some time you suspected was a villain arrayed against you. However, you've come to learn that while she had a connection to a dark wizard that you slew months prior, she was under the thrall of this vampire, and you helped her break that bond, and in slaying the vampire you freed her as well as many other luminaries of Zobek itself that were in her sway. And as you were sort of recovering from that, gathering yourselves and getting ready to leave, you found that your companion Glaz and the near-death unconscious form of his friend Valya in the courtyard of the Zealous estate, surrounded by gold and white armored Knights of the Undying Sun, led by a middle-aged human, most likely a paladin of the Sun God Corps. The magical lights they carried lit the nighttime courtyard as if it were bright noon. You found yourself dazzled by the light, surrounded by soldiers, as they pronounced your guilt and condemned you to death, drawing their weapons and moving forward to arrest you. Glaz is hauled to his feet from where he was down on his knees, and it looks like he is a little bit worse for wear. He had taken some wounds in the extended battle with the vampires inside, and his arms are roughly pulled behind his back, and shackles are clapped onto his wrists. The long mustachioed paladin captain nods to his subordinates, and soldiers begin moving forward.
Wait, I didn't remember the part about being condemned to death.
That is one of the things he said.
Crap.
Wait, who's condemned to death?
One thing you shouldn't get arrested for. Is it just Glass? Because if it is, then maybe we could appeal in a couple of months. Got a good lawyer for these sorts of things. I mean, I've got a lot of charges pressed against me in the past. Nothing proven. Obviously.
The knight captain, who introduced himself as Timon Ganfrey, snaps his eyes hard and this sort of steely gray over to you, Riodan, and he hisses, "Silence, half-blood." And soldiers sort of come forward with weapons drawn.
On what grounds are you arresting us?
Tilly hold up her shield a little bit and be like, we just saved a good soul of your city. I don't know if you know, but you won't be taking this right now. Just letting you know.
So Anastasia at this point steps forward with her hands kind of held out wide, and she is rattled by this, but angry, and she begins to kind of speak animatedly towards some of the soldiers and sort of heads them off. Very quickly, you can see that they are ignoring her authority, and there are more soldiers just sort of swarming around her towards you. You'd say probably a dozen all told, moving up towards you at the entrance to the mansion.
Wait, Anastasia's the one who, like, I'm trying to remember. Anastasia's the one who owns this place? Okay.
Yes,
and
Anastasia Zealous is the mistress of this estate, and if you recall, she is apparently the daughter of that strange, corrupted void speaker wizard you folks tangled with in season 1.
Yeah. At this point, it's like Cloak would stand out to the captain, and very much be like, "Okay, let me get this right. You arresting him? Why? Like, I don't understand why you guys are being so aggressive. Because literally that was a shit show in there. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, we could have used you earlier, not just right now after us. That's all I'm saying.
And I'm gonna try to roll persuasion.
I held my hand.
You may
told I do well in prison.
You may attempt a charisma persuasion check.
Okay. I don't remember how to do persuasion on here. Oh no, I think it automatically should do advantage.
Should just click.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Let's just do it, and then let's see what happens. That's performance persuasion. 18.
18. It's pretty good. You see a few of the soldiers sort of, they kind of come up short. They listen to what you say, and a few of them kind of like crane over your shoulder to look inside when you talk about what was going on in there. One of the sort of, you'd guess maybe a sergeant sort of individual, kind of a middle rank, will step forward and take a detachment of troops and says, "Captain, with your permission, we'll investigate the interior." And the knight captain nods once and looks at you, and he says, "Well, what are you waiting for?" To the soldiers who sort of backed off for a moment, and then they continue forward they approach you now with their weapons lowered. You see that several of them bear long pikes, and the blades of their pikes have this sort of brass and gold inlay in them, and the ones carrying these polearms, they seem to be sort of a cut above the regular or common soldiery. the rest of them seem a little bit more rank and file. A few of them step forward as the pikes are sort of lowered towards you, and one of those sergeants says, "You are directed to relinquish your weapons now and come along peacefully. If you are innocent as you say, then these charges will be cleared."
Okay, well,
any of these weapons silvered?
Are any of those weapons silvered? Yes, now that you ask. In fact, now that they've come up closer, you can see that the pikes are most assuredly silvered, and you don't see too much in the way of other swords drawn. The Knight Captain's sword actually seemed to have a golden hue to the blade, so it doesn't look like it's made of silver, but the pikes are most assuredly silvered.
I think at this point, Cloak would look at the situation and look at the captain and the sergeant, and I was like, "But I'll give you my weapon. Can you uncuff my friend? Because he didn't really do anything wrong."
So, do you relinquish your weapon when the soldiers come up to take it?
Well, I mean, what I said to him is I pointed at Glass, and I was like, "Can you please uncuff him?"
Yeah, I hear you. So
Okay.
you say you'll give over your weapon, and a soldier, comes up to take it. You gonna let him take it?
At this point, yes. But as he goes to take it, I'm gonna hold on to it and be like, "My father made this, and I want it back." And then,
so he goes to sort of pull it from you, and you stop him, and his eyes kind of snap down to yours, and his jaw sets, and then you speak your piece, and he kind of pauses a moment and nods once, and says, "Your weapon will not be mistreated." And if you relinquish it, he takes it, and when you do, the flames on the blade die. They immediately douse.
Okay.
The rest of you have soldiers coming to relieve you of your weapons. Is anyone going to resist?
Feel free to mistreat this weapon in any way you see fit, officer.
All right, Riordan, you are handled somewhat roughly. They take any visible weapons off of you, and if you have a visible holy symbol of Morena, it is kind of forcibly torn from you. Like they will break the chain or cord if you wear it as an amulet around your neck.
It's my sunglasses.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's just sunglasses. Yeah, give me those. So as your weapons are being taken, sorry, go ahead, Moth.
Would we see he's being handled roughly?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Tilly's definitely gonna shift forward a little bit.
Yeah.
Your judgment needs to be
Rowen.
reserved until after your investigation, sir.
Rowen starts forward as well.
Okay, so they're not beating him or anything, but they are definitely not handling with care. They tear his amulet of Morena off of around his neck. His arms are pulled back behind his waist, and he too is manacled.
It's okay.
The rest
friends.
of you, Rowen and Tilly, and sorry, what?
why are you covering him? Like we're giving up peacefully.
You now have your hands being pulled into shackles. Cloak. Basically, we'll make this kind of a long story short. Is anyone resisting being cuffed?
I mean, I got big biceps. It's hard to put my arms around, so
you're gonna screw with them and make them work for it.
Tilly definitely has some strong words under her breath, but she'll give up.
All right, so then each of you are divested
Rowan's
of your weapons.
Rowan's got quite scrawny, bony hands and wrists. Would they slip off?
Would they slip off? No, certainly not. You could maybe try to slip out of them, but they're not going to slip off.
What about?
Absolutely.
What about some tiny gnome hands that are...
So it seems like these folks are used to dealing with sort of a large population of small-sized races here in Zobek, given the massive and often criminalized kobold population. So the manacles they put on you fit quite snugly, unfortunately.
Okay.
All right, so each of you are divested of your obvious weapons, and your wrists are shackled. And now this includes Paula Everforge. Her warhammer is taken from her, and she is shackled despite her objections. They start to try and arrest Anastasia, and as they do, the house guards step forward, and she sort of draws herself up to her full height. Her eyes flash, and she says, "You will unhand me, or I will see that each of you swing from the gallows." And there's just an edge in her voice that is just enough to make the soldiers balk, and they kind of look back toward the knight captain, and he tilts his head and narrows his eyes, and he says, "As this is your house, and you are not implicated in our investigations to date, I will allow you your freedom for now. See that you don't leave." And he kind of nods to the soldiers that back away from her, and you can see her house guard sort of relax a little bit at that point. Puff Puff, at this point, Cloak, you can see Puff Puff has sort of lurked back in the foyer to the mansion, and is like creeping behind some furniture, looking out at you. And you see her silver eyes gleaming in the candlelight, and you hear just this soft, plaintive whine.
I don't know how... How would people generally handle a blink dog?
Most people wouldn't recognize Puff Puff for what she is. They would tell that there's something, not entirely normal, or something maybe strange about her because of the color of her fur and her eyes. But I mean, she can basically pass for a big, kind of exotic-looking dog.
I think at this point, I would call, I whistle for Puff Puff and like... And,
you want to come out? Okay.
Her. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. She'll sort of... Okay, good.
Oh yeah, and then when she gets out, and look at them and be like, "Okay, don't shackle her. She's a very good dog, and she's very obedient, and she's very tame. So, but she's gonna want to stay with me. So let's." So
they, I think you guys had other mounts here too, didn't you? I don't think you came up here on foot. I think you came by carriage or horse or something like that. Anastasia looks at you and she says, "If you wish, I'll see to it that your animals are well taken care of."
I can't remember if I left the bear or not.
I think you left the bear at the Dancing Bear, I think?
Yeah!
I can't remember.
I can't remember. Bears aren't invited to parties. Screw that mess. I'm leaving,
Can I roll insight on the crazy lady who tried to kill us maybe an hour ago?
Absolutely. Make a wisdom insight check.
If I could turn
22.
back time.
22. So she looks like she 22. So she's holding her composure very well, but you've seen her over the course of the evening go through some pretty serious different mood swings, and you're able to pick up that she is rattled. She's not sure what to think about a lot of things, but she knows that what's going on right now is bullshit, so she's trying to help as best she can in the moment.
Okay. So I'd be like, "Okay, Puff Puff, stay with lady."
All right, so Puff Puff kind of nuzzles onto your hand and licks it once, and then trots over to basically heal at Anastasia's side and sits down on the gravel. And at this point, you're all kind of grabbed roughly and pulled away and down the blindingly well-lit gravel drive toward waiting. I'd call them carriages, but they're more like prison wagons. They have thick, stout oak construction and heavy iron bars on all of the windows. Valia, you all notice, is being just sort of left where she lay, and a few of the soldiers break off to kind of check on her and tend to her. Glaz begins to protest loudly as they take him away from Valia, and he is basically ignored and shoved a little more forcefully toward one of the wagons.
If
I thought the
any
rest
of my companions are
Okay.
mishandled, she's Rowan goes to like leer and look menacingly at them, snapping her beak.
So the soldiers take note of you clacking your beak at them, of course, and a few of them draw back a little bit, but most of them seem like they're made of pretty stern stuff, and they don't seem particularly cowed. The lanterns that a few of these folks are carrying are silver and gold, and they are burning with what is clearly some sort of magical light that is stabbing at your eyes with the intensity of sunlight. All of you, it's pretty uncomfortable to look at. Just imagine these like hyper high power spotlights at night. Riodan and Rowen, the two of you, you can feel the light prickling your skin. It's incredibly uncomfortable.
Gross.
And so you're all led away into these prison wagons. Meanwhile, in another part of Zobek, there is a modest shop front. It's closed up tight for the night. Its displays are covered. Its valuables are placed in a safe. And its proprietor is perhaps sitting, not sleeping, in a workshop in the back behind the showroom. There's an array of tools set out on the workbench. Many of them are very finely crafted precision tools, tiny hammers, small chisels and awls, little calipers that someone might use for very fine machine work. There are molds where metals can be poured and cast. There are tongs. There's a small furnace for working, clearly not a forge per se, but definitely for smelting or melting down low melting point metals, perhaps precious metals. It's cold, currently not being worked, and this figure of dull gray iron chased with glittering precious metals is currently using some of those tools to wind tension in a mithril spring buried deep within the figure's arm. And as the spring gains tension, the figure flexes its fingers, and small clicks and whirs draw the tension out of this magical spring to drive it. Landis, you're spending some time during your rest, basically finishing up your routine maintenance for the night. You flex your hand and your fingers, making sure everything's in good working order. Close the small panel and begin putting your tools away. It was a decent day, like most of them anymore. They're pretty uneventful. You just sort of muse in the night as you finish putting away your tools, and you stand up, feeling your newly rejuvenated body responding perfectly, just as you would expect it to. And you look around and you see that you actually made a nice little sum of a nice little profit today. It was a good day all around. So you give this gesture that in a living, breathing creature might be sort of a deep breath and sigh of contentment. But for you, it's really just more of a setting of your shoulders. And as you go about going to wind down for the day, so to speak, do you have anything else that you might do? Any sort of routine rituals that would take place as you just sort of reset for the day?
Making sure that I was in perfect working order would definitely be one of the last things that I did. But I also would make sure everything is wiped down and polished and cleaned. I like to keep myself sparkling if possible. And I would go recheck all the doors and recheck all the windows and just make sure that there was nothing to be afraid of. And I would walk into the back where my little sleeping quarters was, and I would pause as I kind of sat down in my chair, because I don't technically sleep and I don't really need a bed. So I have a very comfortable chair that I sit and muse in as I rest. And I would say a silent prayer, but not to anyone or anything in particular. I definitely feel pretty lost at the moment. But it's my routine. I've always done it, so I keep doing it, even though I don't really know why.
All right.
I say a quick good night and close my eyes.
Okay, so you settle in, you run through your little daily inventory, you say your silent prayer, you sort of bid the world good night. Even though your rest is mostly done, you're just going to kind of sit, chill, reflect, contemplate until the next day dawns, and perhaps you'll have some more work to do. Maybe you'll get a commission, or at least someone interested in buying some of your pieces, so you can be sure to continue to get the little bits and bobs you need to maintain your interestingly intricate body. After perhaps 20 minutes or so, you are startled to hear a knock at the front door.
My eyes pop open, and if I had been human, I would have shuddered. I don't like unexpected visitors, but I will get up and I will walk quietly to the door and open it.
Okay. Your the little copper lids covering your glimmering emerald eye lenses flick open, and you walk with a soft series of clicks and whirs that marks your body, mostly instead of footsteps anymore. You head to the front door, and there is, there's a closed sign. I imagine shades are drawn over the heavy glass windows. And so do you want to peek outside first and see if you can identify who's knocking, or just kind of open it up and see what's what?
I think I'm just going to open it.
Okay. You throw the locks, maybe a bolt or a chain. There is decent security on this door. It's very stout. It's banded in iron, thick hardwoods from the nearby Margrave forest. You open up the door, and you're surprised to see a sumptuously appointed carriage on the cobblestone streets. There are white and dappled horses just sort of clattering their hooves on the cobblestones and snorting somewhat contentedly. There is a driver who has sort of stepped down from the buckboard and is tending to the horses. And there is an individual standing in front of you who clearly must have been the one knocking on the door. He's a human. He is elderly, probably looks like he's in his late 50s, maybe his 60s. He is very well dressed. He's wearing red and blue velvet sort of robes with some tight burgundy hose and polished leather shoes with silver buckles that have intricate etching in them. They're not simple by any means. Everything about this man suggests that it's expensive, but without being ostentatious. It's all very tasteful. He wears a heavy gold necklace that is set with various precious stones. He has a crimson and black and gold velvet cap, kind of like a slightly deflated bag, just sort of jauntily over his graying locks and his well-trimmed beard and mustache. He smiles at you, and you recognize him. You've seen him a few times. He's actually bought jewelry from you before. You think that he was a customer of your parents. And it takes a moment for you to sort of think back through. But you do know this individual's name. You know that this is Lord Volstaff Graymark. And of interest is he is one of the only people in all of Zobek that uses the title of Lord, because it really doesn't have nobility in that sense. They left that behind almost 100 years ago when they overthrew the Strauss family during the revolt. But Lord Graymark, until recently, was one of the most powerful people in the city. He was one of the counselors of Zobek, recently retired to see to his business interests. But you know that he still serves as the master of coins. So he's essentially the city's treasurer.
Got it. And do I remember the last time I saw him? How long ago it was?
Oh, goodness. Why don't you make me an intelligence check?
Sure, if you could tell me how.
Roll a die and add your intelligence modifier to it. Roll a
Can I
d20
just
and add your
roll it?
intelligence modifier to the results.
I know
Yeah,
I know
absolutely.
that much. Can I ignore the roll 20 thing for now?
Yes, I'm not doing the roll 20 thing either, so
Okay.
sorry. When you said tell
All
me
right.
how, I'm like, you wanna
No,
make an intelligence check,
I
don't
know.
you?
I can play D&D. It's fine.
I thought I was
What was which one was it? Sorry. Which skill check?
Intelligence, please. Just straight intelligence.
Sure. Yeah. That is a 9.
A 9. So you've had a few flurries of business lately. It's possible that he's come through recently, but it didn't necessarily grab your attention. You just sort of remember him from way back, and it took you a little bit to come up with his name. And you realize that you've kind of just been sitting and staring for a little while at this point, just sort of thinking back through your memories of this individual. And he smiles a little bit broader and tilts his head just slightly. And his eyes twinkle with this little bit of amusement in them, but he doesn't say anything and he doesn't press you. He just sort of waits.
I believe that I probably, more than staring at his face, I was looking at the necklace he was wearing. And I imagine that's what tripped me quicker than his face. And so I'm just kind of entranced by it for a second and then realize what I've been doing. And I look at him and say, I'm sorry, we're closed for the evening. Is there something I can help you with?
Oh, of course you are. But I'm not here to talk about jewelry, at least not tonight. And yes, there is something you could help me with. Perhaps we could help each other. I apologize for the unorthodox hour of my visit, but circumstances make it necessary. Would you mind if I come in? I promise that I'll make it worth your while to at least hear me out.
I suppose that would be fine. Come in. I've got a chair for you.
Wonderful. He sort of turns, looks back to his driver, and he picks up the simple lacquered black cane he was carrying, and it has a gold sort of topper, like a knob on the top of it that seems decorative in some way, but you can't really get a good look at it. And he just sort of waves it in acknowledgement of the driver, basically telling him to, chill. So he follows you inside and follows you to the offered chair and settles down with sort of a contented
I don't eat or drink or anything, but I know the general human customs, so I offer him a tea or something like that to see if he wants anything.
Tea. Well, if that's what you have, certainly. If you have something a little stronger, I wouldn't say no to it tonight. It's been an interesting evening.
Yes, I do actually. I can get you a beverage more to your liking, and I'll bring him a strong ale that I've got kept in the back for my visitors, the few that I have.
Okay, so you pour him something, and he accepts it gratefully, lifts it sort of in toast to you, and takes a drink of it, and he sort of sighs contentedly, and then holds the cup over to the side. Now, you may not remember me, but I remember you, Landis. I've been very impressed with your work, just as I was impressed with your families, your mothers and fathers before you.
I don't say anything back to that. I just kind of look at him suspiciously because he shouldn't know that.
He shouldn't, but he does. So, like,
Right.
do you try to stay as still as possible? Do you try to just like blank face?
I'm not
give away
moving.
anything?
No, I'm not moving. I'm not giving away anything. I'm just looking at him like I'm not giving you any information. You're gonna have to come out with what you got.
Why don't you make me a charisma deception check to see how well you hold your composure?
Okay. I can do that. I can definitely do that. That's a 17.
Ooh, 17, pretty good. So he kind of watches you through, like, not squinted, but like half-lidded eyes, like he's watching you very closely. He's scrutinizing you, and he seems pleased with whatever it was that he saw or didn't see. And he says, "Don't You don't need to fret about any of that. I have no interest in making things difficult for you. Quite the contrary, in fact. I have interest in making things better for you. I find myself in need of some extra help. Some,
What kind of help do you need?
Some associates of mine found themselves on the wrong side of, well, I guess we could call it the law. That's not exactly correct, but it's close enough. They found themselves on the wrong side of it tonight, and they're going to need some assistance. But I don't think I can get involved directly for one reason or another. You, unless I miss my guess, are someone who has the sort of skills that might be able to intervene in my stead. And if you're willing to do it, I'm willing to pay. Handsomely.
Could you elaborate on the types of skills you need from me? I'd like to know what I'm getting myself into.
He just sort of smiles at that. He says, I don't know that we need to go into details about what you may or may not be able to do, and just smiles a little bit broader. He says, there are some people who are going to get involved very soon, and I'd like to have you there. These associates of mine, well, they're very special in a number of ways, and I'd like to see to it that they don't end up where these people are trying to take them. And if you're willing to help stop that from happening, I'm willing to make you very rich, at least in the short term. And if things go well, perhaps that means we can find new opportunities later.
How rich?
Well, just for your time, he reaches into his robe and takes out a small velvet pouch, and you can hear it clink with this delightful gold-on-gold sound. And he hands it out to you. It's a fairly fat pouch. And he says, just for your time this evening, and for the lovely drink, whether you say yes or no, this 500 griffins is yours. And griffins are gold pieces in Zobek.
Okay. I'm gonna kind of hold it, weigh it in my hands, and kind of make a show of that. You know, well, I guess this is fine, you know, and toss it on my counter and just say, all right, I'm listening.
Okay. He smiles and says, if you can intervene and see to it that these people don't end up where the folks who have them are attempting to bring them, I will quadruple that amount tomorrow night.
Okay. Where are they trying to put them?
Well, they're going to be picked up from an estate outside of the city itself. And I suspect they're going to be brought to the Citadel. Now, the Citadel, Landis, you know, is the central sort of seat of government in Zobek. It's on a hill that raises up in the rough middle of the city. And that's where the militia, the Griffin Knights, there's just everything is there. That's also where criminals are held after they've been arrested by the city. There isn't a whole lot of time to deliberate, and I apologize for that. Thus, he kind of gestures to the pouch he already gave you, which is ridiculously generous. I'm going to assume that you're still sort of trying to hide all of your reactions, and we'll just go with the same deception check you made before, because that was pretty solid. Mm-hmm. But that is a hell of a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you... go ahead.
No, go ahead.
And he says, if you're interested, I can provide you with the names and descriptions of these individuals, as well as the likely route they're going to be taking. Time is of the essence. I suspect they're being loaded into wagons as we speak.
One question, and this will determine whether I'm going to help you.
Very well.
Am I going to regret setting these people free? If you know of me, and you know of my past, you know the types of things I'm not willing to do anymore.
These people have nothing to do with that.
All right. If you vouch for them, I will.
He chuckles. He chuckles at that. That might be a bit of a strong word. They're good people to know.
Okay. Then it sounds like
What?
a job that I can take on.
Up to you to decide how exactly you want to deal with it. There will be some others there that might be able to give you an in or at least a distraction. Other than that, I don't really care to know. So if they end up not at the Citadel, then I'll see you again tomorrow night.
Is there anywhere they should end up, or you don't care?
Perhaps that's up to them.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Well, then I will...
So he stands up and he holds out his hand to you, offering it for a shake. And you can see that several of his fingers are studded with rings, heavy gold, beautifully cut gemstones. And one of them is an emerald that has a similar cut to the ones you're very familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
Not identical,
I'm actually...
but enough
okay.
to catch your eye.
Yeah, I'm going to do that thing where you kind of shake at someone's hand and then you turn it so you can look at it. And I'm just going to eye that ring for a second and say, that's a very interesting piece of jewelry you've got there.
He says, isn't it though? Winks and takes his hand back and heads for the door. You'd better hurry.
Okay. Wait, do you want to tell me who they were? As he walks away.
So as you sort of like, wait, who do you want me to go get? What's going on? The door closes and you just sort of,
yeah.
That sucks. You turn around and you see on the seat where he just stood up, there's a folded bit of parchment with a golden wax seal pressed onto it.
Nice. Sneaky
So
boy. I like it. I'm going to...
You
Yep,
crack
go
it
right
open,
over.
and there are a list of names with some descriptions and a likely route that they'll be taking from the marked Zealous estate to the Citadel.
Perfect. I will...
And you can see that there is there's a conspicuous red X on one of the bridges that leads across the river from the little island sort of midway through the river along the road toward the Citadel.
Okay. I'm going to gather up a bag of some supplies and make sure the shop is all closed up again and say, all right, let's go, and head that way.
All right. So as you gather your things, you head out into the night. There is a soft tapping on the window behind you as you close the door, lock it, and turn and head into the night of Zobek. The street lamps are lit with some of them are lit by gas, some of them are illuminated with soft magical lights, but the streets are lit enough to keep ruffians at bay in this part of the city. You live in one of the nicer districts, or at least, that's where your parents were set up. And so you make your way across town. The rest of you have been loaded into 3 heavily constructed barred wagons. In the wagons, we're going to have Riodan and Tilly in one, Glaz and Cloak
Great.
in another, and Rowen and Paula in the third. The wagons rumble along the crushed gravel away from the Zealous estate and then out onto the hard-packed dirt roads that are leading to Zobek. You can't see out the front of the wagon so well. The chains are heavy around your wrists, uncomfortably tight, cold against your skin where it's exposed. And the ride is not in any way comfortable. It's just bare, flat, splintered wooden benches, and there are several soldiers in each of the wagons with you, as well as several more riding on top, and then yet more sort of marching along outside. You take a few glances out of the barred windows, and you realize that all of those soldiers who apprehended you, not all of them came with the wagons. It looks like a fair number of them stayed at the Zealous estate, perhaps to investigate some of those claims that Cloak made so convincingly, along with Anastasia. The wagons, drawn by heavy draft horses, crunch their way down through the fields, across the first bridges to the Gullet, the island of warehouses and docks, Tilly, where your boat is berthed, and across the worn cobblestones that have seen oh so much traffic by sailors and soldiers and tradesmen. As you
smelling the water, Tilly's like, crap.
Oh yeah.
this
Yep.
sucks.
You smell the river water. You all happen to rumble on past a few familiar sights, such as the Tiefling Bar, God, what was it called? I'm blanking on it. The Cracked Sigil, I think it was called, something like that. Where the Cloven Nine hang out. Yeah. You can hear raucous music, laughter, and probably the sound of a fight, sort of spewing out from in there. And you spend minutes mostly in silence. Occasionally, if you try to speak to someone else who's in your wagon, the soldiers cut you off and demand that you not talk. Landis, you make your way to the red X on the map, and it is a small series of basically houses sort of carved up into low-rent apartments on the waterfront, and it's near one of the bridges that's leading across the river from the island called the Gullet. You approach, and why don't you give me a wisdom perception check to see how well you notice some things. Oh, I think you're muted.
I said, I think probably not very well, and then I said, I got a 3.
A 3. A 3 is indeed not so good. So as you approach, you don't see anything particularly catching your eye about this small series of buildings that's been marked with the red X. How are you wanting to sort of approach the area? Are you wanting to hide? Are you wanting to just kind of walk down the street? What's your deal?
I'm actually going to just kind of stand back up against a wall, try to look not conspicuous, and I'm going to close my eyes as though I am just resting, and I'm going to try to see what I can see in my head.
Okay. You sort of settle yourself against one of the walls just outside of the cone of light of a flickering, fitful street lamp that isn't as well maintained out here on the waterfront district as the ones near your home. So you're in deep shadows, cloaked in your sort of outer garments with your hood pulled down, and you let your eyes flit closed. And that familiar tingle settles over your temples, and you can see the city sort of sprawling out below you. You see the twinkling of lights. You see the lantern poles of various city watch patrols as they walk their preordained routes. You can see flurries of activity from the tight-packed roofs of the Kobold ghetto, knowing that the Kobolds are mostly nocturnal, avoiding the sun. So their activity. This is their noon, basically. So they're in full swing, tinkering with junk, and whatever else the kobolds in their quarter do. And you can see the lights on several wagons far up the road, approaching along the Gullet. You can see that these wagons are well lit, and they are just brightening the area around them as if little shards of the sun were being dragged along with them. You really, the only reason you couldn't see it from your position on the ground is because there were buildings in the way. Mm-hmm. So that most certainly must be what you're looking for.
Right.
Second. Yeah, go ahead and say what you're saying.
I want to move towards this convoy and position myself where I can't be seen by it or anything like that, but at least if I peek around a corner, I might be able to catch a glimpse of it myself. And I would like to... you said that anytime they tried to speak, the guards shut them up, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, let's see. Who's in the first cart?
Okay, so you're going to get a closer look?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You're going to try and get a closer look yourself by going up to them, or are you going to try and use your special means?
I'm using special means. I don't want to get close to that myself.
Absolutely. As you're concentrating and shifting your perspective, you see something that you missed before. Now that your elevated vantage point allows you to see it, you can see figures around those little clusters of buildings that were marked on your map. You sort of swept your eyes past them before and didn't notice anything. From above, however, you can see behind some hiding places and around some corners, there are figures creeping about in those dark alleyways and the shaded yards. You can see that they are dressed in... your vantage point is a little too far away to resolve good details unless you want to get a closer look, which you can. But you can see some sort of red garments on all of these figures. Cloaks or hoods or overcoats, maybe, something along those lines.
Sorry, I blinked out for a second. What did you say?
Right. So from your vantage point up above, you can see these figures moving around. If you want your vantage point to get closer to them, you might be able to see more, but all you can tell from here is that they're milling around, trying not to be seen, and they're wearing some sort of red garments, maybe cloaks or hoods or overcoats, something like that.
Do they appear to be moving towards the convoy at all, or are they stationary?
No.
Or are they just going in circles?
They're like, mostly they're just sort of crouched down and hiding, and then occasionally you'll see one or two from different groups will sort of move around, like they're sending messages back and forth. It very much looks like they're planning an ambush.
Okay. I am going to... Okay, did I figure out who's in the carts, in the first cart?
Right, so now that you've seen that sort of on your way...
Yep.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep.
You concentrate, your vision sort of swoops down low, runs across the water, and then up through an alleyway between two warehouses on the gullet. You can see the bright, stabbing lights of these daylight lanterns as they rumble along on these stout sort of prison wagons. You can see that there are several maybe a dozen or so soldiers, and it takes you a moment to realize that they're members of the Order of the Undying Sun. So they're worshippers of the sun god Kors, whose their order has fallen into disfavor over the past few decades. They're not super well respected in Zobek anymore. You know, in other places they are, and they wield great power, but here they're very much in decline. So you swoop up to the first wagon, and in the first wagon, you can see two figures, along with more soldiers through the bars. One of them is a small figure dressed in a red cloak, but this cloak is covered with what looks like living sort of forest vegetation. There's little ferns, mushrooms, moss, little bits of like forest plants and fungus sort of growing from the hood and the shoulders of the mantle. And its face is concealed behind a mask, this sort of leering mask that looks like it's maybe made of iron and sort of shaped into the visage of a dragon. But between all of the little crevices and scales, you can see that it looks like it's glowing like dull sort of red hot. But it doesn't seem to be burning the figure's face, with massive sort of ivory teeth sort of flanking the. Now that you're up close, you can tell it's a gnome, flanking the gnome's actual own mouth. He is chained and manacled, as well as is the trollkin, dressed in robes along with he no longer has it, but near him there is this large skin, maybe from a moose or an elk, and it's covered in an inscribed map of Midgard itself. And there are these lines that trace between points all over, and it's covered with arcane glyphs and runes. And you can see that the soldiers are sort of disturbingly looking over that skin, and they grab a backpack from the trollkin against his objections, and they sort of pound on the door, and the convoy rumbles to a halt, and one of the soldiers takes the pack and the skin out of the wagon and climbs up onto the driver's board and starts talking to one of the officers. And then after they do that, he pounds again, and the driver starts driving on, and the convoy picks up again.
Are there any guards actually? Are there any guards actually sitting in the inside with them?
Yes, there's one fewer now because he went up to talk to the other one. But yes, there are still two soldiers in the wagon. Okay. I am going to. Do they seem to be paying more attention to what I would assume is someone that has more magic, as he had the strange map and things like that? So are they still paying more attention to him? They see the guards inside are not really paying more attention to one or the other. The one who was rifling through the pack and looking at the skin, he looked like he was pretty concerned, and he's gone up to talk to the officer in charge. Which, if you want to, hop over, you could hear what they're saying or see what they're doing.
I wanna hear what they're saying.
All right, so your perspective sort of swings up to the top of the wagon, and you can see that they're rifling through the pack now, and they've pulled out a leather-wrapped parcel of some sort, and they've opened it up at this point, and you can see the leather is kind of cracked, almost as if it's old, and it's kind of blackened, like maybe it's sort of molded or something along those lines. It looks kind of nasty. And inside is a strange folio, like imagine a hard-backed folder. And they crack it open, and inside you can see that this folder is lined with lead, and inside are several thin sheets of brass. And the brass is etched with writing and symbols that suddenly, as your vision falls over it, makes your vision kind of swim. These symbols stab at your eyes, and you make this kind of involuntary kind of a shriek noise. And the fellows holding this thing, one of them turns and just vomits his entire contents of his stomach over the side of the wagon after seeing this bizarre, blackened, twisted, blasphemous writing. And the other one, which is that's the fellow who opened up and was holding it, he basically fumbles it and even drops it down to the floorboards. The officer gasps, bites back a curse, and you can see little trickles of blood pouring out of the corners of his eyes. Like his eyes have teared up, but instead of tears, it's blood. Like he's not hemorrhaging or anything, but like his eyes watered, and two little rivulets of crimson pour down his eyes.
I am super interested in that book, and while they are distracted and have their eyes filled with blood and vomit, I'd like to pick it up and fly off to the top of a building and put it there.
All right. I would like you to please roll me a d20 and tell me the result.
Okay. That's a 3.
A 3.
Yeah.
So that's what you're wanting to happen, but you can't seem to make it
but
happen.
Instead.
But instead, it just, like, your perspective sort of drops down low onto the roof of the wagon, and the sergeant reins in the horses, which kind of startles the wagons behind it. So the entire convoy comes to a halt. The rest of you who are in the wagons are lurched a little bit as you hear some commotion up ahead. The people in the second wagon, which is who is it? Tilly and Riodan? Was that who I said who were in the wagon together? All right. Tilly and Riodan, you can hear some startled shouting that you can't really make out from the wagon in front of you. And Rowen and Paula, you guys really don't hear much. The wagon kind of comes to an abrupt halt.
And we still have guards in our wagons, right?
You do have guards in your wagons, although at this point they look a little nervous and they kind of eyeball all of you.
We fully noticed that they're being nervous about it.
Yeah, they seem surprised that the wagons have come to a halt, and they're kind of looking at you and then looking outside. They're on alert now.
Tilly will put on her kind of commander pants and be like, "Those could be your men. You better go look out for them. You never know. I mean, we're not going anywhere. Like, my feet don't even touch the ground, but you should probably go check at them."
Okay.
It could
why
be
don't
someone
you
trying to
make
rescue us. We have a lot of friends.
Why don't you make a charisma
Lots of
deception
friends.
check
He's drunk.
with advantage from Riodan's help?
Okay, so Rona, tell me again, because I don't have my character sheet set up, so.
Charisma persuasion. So you're going to roll a d20 and add your charisma modifier, plus your proficiency bonus if you're proficient in the persuasion skill. I'm sorry, did I say deception? Persuasion or deception, either way, because you're lying.
Roll
but also
it,
trying
roll
to
it.
convince them.
Run it twice because of advantage, correct?
Correct.
Am I right? Okay. Please bear with me. I'm the noob of the group. Thank you.
It's okay. We're knocking just so much rust off right now.
While this is all happening as well, Rowan's going to try and slip off the handcuffs.
Okay. Why don't you make me a... You got skinny ass bird wrists. I'll go ahead and let you attempt a dexterity acrobatics check.
Skinny ass bird wrists.
Not going to be
This is
stealth.
Episode 1.
Stealth? No, it's not stealth.
Okay. Also a 12. 12 all
12?
round.
All right. All right, a 12 is not going to manage it. But so you're kind of like shuffling and clanking and clinking. Paula notices what you're doing, and she sort of turns and like kind of gets her broad shoulders a little bit between you and the guards, and kind of squares right up on them, and so she starts kind of interrogating him, like, what's the meaning of this? How are you going to drag us out of here in the middle of the night while we were assisting an upstanding member of this community, and now you're going to and she just starts like going off on them in this deep, commanding, taking no shit dwarf mom voice of hers.
Can Tilly hear this?
Tilly can hear kind of like the booming of Paula's voice from the rear wagon. Yes, you can't really make out what she's saying, but you can totally hear that she's saying it.
She just happily sighs, knowing that she's okay.
All right. So, Rowan, it looks like Tilly has prevented them from noticing what you're doing for the time being, but you haven't managed to slip out of the manacles. Anybody else doing anything in particular?
So the guards. The guards are nervous?
The guards are nervous, yeah. And in fact, now that all this commotion is happening up on the front of yours, one of the other ones gets up to kind of look out there, and he dodges back right as a spray of vomit comes pouring down from the buckboard at the front of the wagon.
At this point, Cloak would be like, you guys aren't really good at this, are you?
One of them sort of prods you with the haft of a kind of a short spear and says, "Shut up." And from up ahead, you can hear more sort of exclamations, commotion. They sound real upset. up there on top of your wagon, and you hear one of them, the guy who was just looking out and dodged the falling vomit. He kind of climbs half out, looks up, and he claps his hand over his mouth and retches, but manages not to lose his dinner as well. And he sort of muffles from behind his hand, "What in the name of all the gods is that?" And you hear someone else from up on top of the wagon say, I don't know. It was in the Trollkin's pack. This is worse than anything we thought."
Is that loud enough for second wagon? Then to start getting upset.
You can hear that they are upset up on the front wagon, but you really can't make out what they're saying.
Tilly just
Fast
continues
forward
egging on the
direction.
soldiers, like, you need to go. You need to go.
At about this time, Cloak, very, very, very close to your ear and very, very quiet, you hear a voice, and it says, "Don't say a word. I'm gonna get you out of here, but I need your help. I'm going to try to at least undo these manacles. Just be still. Don't let them know that anything is happening. And I'm gonna try to get down and wiggle into the lock and undo it."
Okay.
Okay. Also, at the same time, as I'm hearing that, I'm looking to where do one of the guards in mine have my sword?
Yes. You think your equipment is probably in... Well, so not the guards inside. You think... I mean, you saw more or less what they did with your gear. So they took all of your obvious adventuring gear. Like, they didn't strip you of armor or anything like that, but they took your packs, they took your weapons, and they probably stowed most of it in a chest that's sort of built up into behind the driver's board area, and they really weren't sure what to make of Glaz's stuff, and one of them was just kind of poking through it throughout the ride, and then he, found some stuff that made him think, "Ooh, better tell the boss about this."
Have we had a short rest?
No.
Okay. Damn it. I was gonna try to do something.
All right.
Okay.
Landis, real quick. Landis, why don't you roll me a d20 and tell me your result, please?
Sure.
Uh-oh.
A nat 20!
Ooh, yeah!
Hey.
All right. So we will get back to that in just a moment. Cloak, after you hear that voice, this disembodied voice just come out of nowhere, whispering next to your ear, you feel something kind of lightly tap your shoulder, as if someone was perhaps reaching past you through the barred window, something like that. Just a very brief contact. And then you hear a clinking as the chains of your manacles are being messed with.
Okay. I look at everything and I go, I just don't say anything at the moment. I also, hold on, let me see if I kept track of my spells. I did not. I don't know what spells I have, so that's why I haven't cast anything, and I haven't tried.
Well, I know you cast, you would at least cast one first level to do protection from evil and good prior.
Yeah. I want to say I did cast Cure Wounds, Shooterly.
That sounds right.
Yeah, on an NPC.
Okay. Yeah, and so I'm going to. Okay, I got it. We're good. I am. As like the manacles are coming off. Is there is it very easy to get out of here?
Define very easy to get out of here. Like, what are you wondering about?
Let's say a gnome casts Pass without trace and then starts making his way towards a treasure chest to find his weapons.
No, because you're still in plain sight. There's two guards kind of watching you. You'd have to find a place to hide, get out through the door. Yeah, not really.
Okay. Can I see outside the carriage?
Yes, absolutely. You can see out the barred windows. Okay. Take a pause for a moment. Tilly and Riodan, what's going on in carriage number 2? How are you guys doing?
Tilly's still begging on the guard, like trying to muster in the courage in them. You need to go check on your mates.
How did you do on your check? What was the result of that? Do you remember the
16.
result of your check? 16. All right. So they kind of look at each other, and one of them says, "Well, if there's any chance she's telling the truth, you better get out there and check." And so one of them heads out of the carriage and heads up toward the first one in the column. Rowen, do you want to make another attempt to slip your shackles?
Yes. While she's doing that, she's actually going to feign some discomfort and. Good sir, these manacles are too tight on me. Would you mind loosening them a bit? And she's casting suggestion.
Oh, all right. What's your save DC?
14. That's a whiz save.
Wisdom saving throw. That will fail. All right. So he sort of blinks and he says, yes, of course. We're not barbarians. We're not going to. You're not to be tortured. Of course not. And he reaches into his tunic and takes out the key and comes over and he starts undoing your shackles.
Oh, thank you. I'm just an old woman and it's doing an awful deal on my bones.
All right. So while all of this is going on, the folks up on the front of the wagon are getting even more agitated. They come down off of the top of the wagon. 3 of them. They wrench open the door and they reach in and grab a hold of Glaz by his tunic. And he begins to sort of sputter and protest. Wait, what are you doing? This is not... And they start pulling him out of the wagon.
Are my thingies falling off yet?
At about this moment, you hear a very distinctive click, and the shackles drop to the bench behind you. Clink, clink.
I whisper again real quick, and I say, "You need to handle this. I'm going to the second cart," and I go to the second cart.
Go. All right.
But without even, as you're whispering that, all you hear is, "Hey, fuck faces," and then I cast Misty Step outside and into the caravan, and I'm gonna stealth under it and start preparing to cast Pass Without Trace. Oh, wait, they're not above anymore, are they?
They're not above. No, they're like coming in from the door to grab Glaz and haul him out.
Okay. So all you hear very loudly, I say it very loudly so everyone can hear. It's like, "Hey, fuckers!" And then you see the whirl of like green light in the leaves disappear, and then like you see it like appear onto like the side, like where he's stealthily going, and he's like climbing up to the open treasure chest that they left there. I hope it's open, and going for his shit.
Okay, so why don't you go ahead and make me a dexterity stealth check to see if you can teleport away unnoticed.
Damn it, I got a 9.
A 9.
Unless I have advantage.
I'm going to give you advantage because there's a lot going on right now, so you can make that.
It's 24.
That's way better. Okay. All right. So Cloak vanishes in a swirl of leaves and green glowing light, and the soldiers are taken aback by that because he just sort of slipped out of his shackles as far as they can tell. But they're very preoccupied with Glaz. You can see that one of them has, it looks like he has broken blood vessels in the whites of his eyes, and he's sort of grabbing Glaz around the arm, and they drag him out of the carriage onto the street.
Okay. Yeah, I'm getting up to that treasure chest, and I'm looking, like, taking everything out, and the books are out too. I'm gonna have to like put that in a cloth and haul that around
Okay.
as well. But
So you at this point have taken a bonus action and action, so you can clamber up to the top of the carriage, and you can see that the footlocker is in fact open, but it's going to take you a little bit more to get to it and get anything out of it.
Okay.
While you're watching from this vantage point, Cloak, you can see that one of them has unhitched one of the draft horses that was pulling the wagon, and they are dragging Glaz over to the horse.
Okay. They unhitched the horse. Can I do something? I don't have an action left, do I?
Not really. That's all you see for now.
Okay.
All right. So
Okay.
in the second wagon, you all see one of the fellows step down from the interior and start heading up toward the front, and the other soldiers are kind of like leaning out, seeing what's going on. So Riodan and Tilly, they're not really looking at you right now.
And
She's
in
like mouthing at Riordan,
Riodan's,
like,
in Riodan's ear, very close and very quiet, Riodan hears a voice that says, "Don't react. I'm gonna get you out of these manacles. I already got one of you out. Be cool." And then I'm gonna go start working on the things. The thingies.
Okay.
Tilly's watching Riordan's face like,
I knew I had friends.
doing?
Tilly,
Did you
Tilly,
follow?
what's your passive perception?
Passive perception. Let's see. I don't even know if I have it on the sheet. Oh, wait, I don't have it on the sheet. I don't know, actually. I have no advantage on it, but...
Let me see. Okay, it looks like your passive perception is 10, so you're not proficient in perception at all.
Nope.
All right, so you don't hear whatever's going on over there. Riordan's just making weird faces. Riordan, you feel something sort of like tap lightly on your back, like maybe someone's scrabbling around back there. You can't really tell. You don't see anything, so whatever it is must be invisible.
It's a
Up in the
rescuer
front,
of mine.
you can see the officer on the first the first wagon that is hauling Glaz out drags him up and hauls him bodily up onto the horse, and it looks like he's getting ready to ride away.
I don't know. I can't do anything right now.
Sure. Rowan?
Stack.
Once her hands are free, she's going to just look at the officer who she suggested and say, "Oh, thank you, dear. That's much appreciated," before raising her hands to cast blindness on both of them. Of the guards in the cart.
All right. Can you upcast it to try and get both of them? Is that how that works?
Yes, yeah, I'm doing a third level.
Got it.
It's con save.
Constitution save DC 14. They both blow it. So as you're sort of getting their attention and you whisper your prayer to Wotan, they blink in sudden surprise as their eyes just go black. And they call out in fright. So you can see them sort of fumbling for their weapons, and the rest of you in the middle and front carriages can now hear a great hue and cry rising from the rear of the column at this point. Landis, roll me a d20.
I'm going to
What
start.
you get.
I'm going to start fumbling at Paula's manacles now.
All right.
You got an 18.
How'd you do?
I whispered to Tilly.
An
"It's
18?
it's my
Nice.
angel,
Yeah.
my friend."
All right.
New dice, so they treat me well for a few sessions and then they go to shit.
Been pretty darn good so far. All right, Riodan, your wrists are free as the manacles click open, and you find yourself no longer restrained.
Without really thinking about it, he loudly says, "Ha ha!"
Well, I didn't tell it.
All right.
What are you talking about?
It's my friends, I think. I must have friends I didn't know about. They're saving me.
What drugs are you on now? What happened?
Look,
All right.
look how
So
my
in
manacles are gone.
all right, so in the front, where Glaz is being dragged up to the horse, you hear two of the soldiers, Cloak, saying, "Find the gnome. There's something with this trollkin. We're going to have to deal with him. The nobles, the lady of the house that we just took him from. They're going to make trouble. You heard what the captain said. We need to deal with him now." And the sergeant hauls Glaz up by his manacles up onto the horse and spurs the horse and takes it off at a gallop.
Is it my turn?
With this?
Sorry, Landis, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh,
It wasn't me.
It was Tilly. Oh, it was Tilly, sorry.
Now I want to say something.
No,
Don't
all right.
worry. It's fine.
Okay.
Never. Just move along.
Okay.
I had a lot
All
of
right,
caffeine. Fine.
All right, Cloak, what are you trying to do?
That horse that's starting to gallop, it's by the front.
It is now a good 60 feet away from the front of the...
Oh Jesus! What the fuck
From
is
the
that
wagon.
horse on?
Yep,
Apparently.
he drives
It's
his
not
spurs into it. It screams and kind of whinnies in surprise and a little bit of pain, and just launches itself forward. Now free of the yoke of the carriage. Okay, Moth. One moment, guys. I know Scarlet Moth is going to need to pull her ripcord and head off a little bit early. Unfortunately, that's all right. I think we've got a nice cinematic combat breaking out in the in the rearmost wagon at this point, with some blind guards and a pissed off dwarven blacksmith and a now free grandma bird. So we'll sort that out. Thanks very much, and I'm so happy we're getting to play again.
I'll see you guys next week. Sorry. Bye.
No problem. Good luck.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. All right. So, Cloak, what did you want to do as you see Glaz being dragged off, sort of struggling but not really making any headway against this fellow who's got a hold of him?
Am I able to grab my sword out of that treasure chest quickly?
Yeah. You can clamber forward, rummage around, and find your sword. And as you pull it up, you can ignite it if you like.
Not yet. I can't get to the horse. It's 60 feet away.
Right.
Is there another horse on the front of this one?
There is another horse on the front of the carriage. No, I'm sorry, there's not. There's one draft horse on each carriage. So this carriage is now basically stranded.
Okay. And did they take the void tablets?
Yeah, so you're taking a moment to look around. You know that they dropped them sort of on the where you heard something fall and clatter, and you couldn't see what they were actually messing with, right? But I mean, it's not difficult for you to two and two together. You've seen the effects of void speech and void glyphs before. No, you don't see Glaz's pack or the tablets.
Oh shit. Okay. I can't go out by myself. I'm gonna need to break everyone else out. Damn it, I wish Puff Puff was here now, because then it could be an epic chase. So at this point, when I hear that they are going to kill us anyways, I'm going to. The only other thing I want to grab is my handy haversack because it has my money in it.
Yep.
And what was it to activate my sword? I'm trying to remember.
It's a bonus action to ignite it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would. I'm gonna ignite it. I believe it was Morgrim was to ignite it, and Tissa was to put it out. He's all of a sudden you hear Morgrim, like in a little deep kind of like gnomish voice, and he would start getting into a position to jump on one of the guards.
Okay, and you can see that the guards are What did you have on your stealth check? It was like an 18 or 20 something.
24.
24. All right, so you can see that, all right, so you just ignited your sword, so hiding is no longer a thing. So your blade bursts into flames, and you can see the guards kind of backing up around away from the carriage a little bit to try and get a better look at where you went, and you can see them hefting their pikes. So Tilly and Riodan, you can kind of see this craziness going on up there. You hear Cloak calling out, you see a burst of flame, and you hear the guards calling out to one another. And just all hell is breaking loose. The carriage in front of you, people are screaming, and you hear weapons. The carriage behind you, you could hear screams of alarm and cries of near panic, and what sounds like Paula yelling some sort of battle cry.
Tilly's like, I'm not dying here! And she puts 2 feet on the butt of one of those guards that are leaning out and just kicks him as hard as she can to see if he'll fall out, and she can maybe jump and run past it. Make
a strength athletics check.
Strength athletics!
I'll try and help.
Go! You're gonna push me?
Yeah, I'll push you and you'll push...
That's 12!
A 12? A 12 is sufficient. He yelps in surprise and goes sprawling forward and just eats it on the filthy cobblestones.
You should help your friends! As she tries to start shuffling out.
Riodan, what are you wanting to do as she has just kicked this dude in the ass and sent him sprawling out into the puddles in the road?
Right. Yes, I'm helping, and I follow after Tilly, hot in pursuit.
Okay. So there's one more guard kind of in the doorway who is looking out. So do you want to try and shove him out as well, or?
Yeah, I'll try and
full linebacker shoulder with you in. Let's go.
All right.
Then we'll go for maybe he's trying to trip him up or something rather than.
Sure. Make me a strength athletics check.
Oh, that's +1. Good job, Will. Oh, not 20, baby.
Oh my God! All right. So you just sort of, let's go, and you throw your plate armored shoulder into his back, and he goes tumbling out after and lands in a heap on his buddy in the dirty water of the cobblestone street. So the two of you are currently clear of guards for the moment until they disentangle themselves, and your hands are free of the manacles. Landis, what's next? I think you're muted.
Okay. Yes, I fixed it.
Yes.
I did
Good.
that. Okay.
Yay.
Good job, Landis. So, would you... No, nope, never mind. I have gone to... They've unhitched the first horse. They have a second and a third horse still remaining. Can I fly? I can obviously tell that they're doing their own thing in the third cart and don't need me back there. So, can I go to one of the horses, the second horse, and try to unhitch it? Unravel all the little things?
That is going to be a tall order, and it can probably be done, but it's going to take a while.
Okay. Instead, actually, I think a better thing would be that back by the building where my body is leaned up against it with my eyes closed, you just see all of a sudden eyes pop open, and there are these brass eyeballs with gleaming emeralds that kind of glow from the inside, and right. I book it. I just run towards what is happening. So
there's a soft whispering of springs and gears clattering as you just take off down the street. And about at this point, you've been insensate to sort of your own surroundings for the moment. You can tell now that there is a group of people that have already started running a fair bit ahead of you toward the fracas. And you can see occasionally in the fitful street lamps red cloaks billowing out behind these figures as they run down the darkened streets. All right, so the rest of you, as you're beginning to sort of muscle your way out of the carts, Cloak, what's your next order of business?
Which guard is most unsuspecting right now?
I mean, the
I'm
guards.
flying out at them and going, "Ah!" and like.
So the guards around you are pretty well suspecting, since they saw you vanish and then your sword burst into flame up above. But you're gonna basically jump on one.
You know why? I'm going to real quick look at what the cat. Oh, it's fucking one action. I was going to do Misty Step again, but I wouldn't be able to make an attack.
Misty Step is a bonus action.
Is it? This thing is telling me wrong. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is then I'm going to Misty Step behind one of the, like, I'm gonna like get a vantage point on one of the guards and go boom and like disappear again, and then reappear behind him, and then go and like drive my sword flaming using my planar warrior into his back.
Okay. Misty Step and Planar Warrior are both bonus actions. So if you want to get down there and Planar Warrior him, you'll have to just kind of climb or jump down on your own power. Which, I mean, you can do.
I'm gonna do the Misty Step, and then I'll do the normal attack.
Okay.
And I'll hang on to it. Okay. So let's do it. Any advantage at all?
No.
Doesn't matter.
No, although you know what, I will give you inspiration for your scampering and escape. In fact, I'm also going to grant inspiration to Tilly as well for the dealing with your guards and the other for setting that whole situation up. Right. So carry on.
He takes 11 damage, which is I believe it's a 5. I rolled a 5. I'm not sure, but it's 11 damage. I don't know if it added the fire damage into there.
I don't know, man. You tell me.
Oh shit, no, it did not. So I'm gonna roll 2d6. I didn't have it checked. That's why. So that'd be another 14 damage to that one guard. 11 slashing, damage. 3 fire.
All right. He cries out in pain, and you can see his blood sort of sprays out onto the stones, and there's just a deep, seared gash through his chain armor, and he's bleeding profusely from just above the hip. The other guard starts running around the carriage towards you. Riodan and Tilly, what's your go here?
You want to go first, Raidan? You want me to?
I'm following Tilly right now. Well, I'm actually behind you, I guess, so I want to follow up on what Tilly's doing, yeah.
All right, Tilly, confused by your hands being out of your thingies, as eloquently put earlier by McLaughlin, she's going to ask you, did you steal the guards? Did you steal his keys? Where are they? And she's like looking on the one that's kind of swimming on the bottom's belt for like.
No, that's what I'm trying to tell you. My friends just saved me. And
don't lie about your keys.
Free.
Help me find more then. And she's like ruffling on his belt now.
Listen, come here. I've got hands. I'll let me. I'm gonna try and yeah. I'm gonna fiddle.
Just kicking him around. Like, where are the keys? Where are the keys?
Because I've got my hands, I'm gonna try and fiddle on her locks while she's searching for the keys. So we're definitely working at cross purposes.
My magic bean.
Yeah.
My magic bean would currently be working on Tilly's cuffs.
Okay, go ahead and make me a dexterity check. Go ahead and roll me a d20 with disadvantage. Make me roll a d20 with disadvantage. Disadvantage.
There's my hands
15.
on Landis's invisible.
A 15 even with disadvantage?
Yeah.
Is that what I heard?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Okay. Sorry, I rolled, that was a 3. I did it backwards.
Oh, okay.
I got excited about the 15. It's a 3.
So you think... So the lock starts to click, and yeah, Tilly, it feels weird. One of the shackles starts like wiggling against your wrist.
See?
And you sort of like flip your hand and then
Why
it
does
stops
nobody
wiggling.
believe in me?
So
I'm the best one of all of us.
The shackle does not
This is
open.
such a comeback.
So my hands aren't free.
Your hands are not free currently, unfortunately. No.
What are you talking about? You can do
hear-
nothing. You're not doing. She's just wrangling with him.
You hear a
Click.
heavy, bone-crunching impact from inside the back carriage as someone is just thrown bodily up against the wall on the inside, and you can see a hobnailed dwarven boot kick the door open, and Paula starts making her way outside, and she has a soldier wrapped around her shoulders trying to pull her back, and she's just like hauling him bodily out of the carriage with her.
Can I just straight up charge him? It's my turn over. Please tell me I can charge the shit.
Yeah, if you wanna stop looking for keys and instead charge at that guy, you sure can.
As soon as I hear that boot, I'm like, I know that boot. What are you doing? And she like runs.
All right, so Tilly just goes careening off toward the rear carriage. And what would you like to do to this poor bastard who's trying to wrestle Paula back in?
If I can get some sort of advantage on him to tackle him without hitting her, that would be great. If not,
he's
I'm gonna
kind
tackle
of
both of them because
trying,
she may like it.
like he's trying to grapple her at the moment. So he's like basically grabbing her around the neck and trying to pull her back in, and currently failing. So you could try to smash your elbow in. You could use an unarmed strike. You could try and beat him with the. Oh Jesus! You have the tavern brawler feat, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
So that's an improvised
Sorry.
weapon that you are.
We have food here. I'm sorry. I got very excited.
Wonderful.
I was
so
like,
you
is that a
could-
sound
you could,
effect? I didn't do that.
you can use your shackles as an improvised weapon that you're proficient in, so you can make just a normal weapon attack with it to try and like bludgeon him with the shackles.
Are we shackled in the front of ourselves or behind ourselves? Because
You know
I'm
what?
not
Probably behind. So now that you mention it, yes, you're shackled behind. So you could basically try to bowl into him and try and knock him over. It'll be tricky because he's hanging onto Paula and half out of a doorway.
She's,
So why don't you go ahead and
she's gonna
make
go
a
full charge and just scream, "I'm sorry, Paula!" and just like, smush all the way
All right.
in.
make a strength athletics check.
Oh, sorry. I apparently muted myself. It's a 15.
Okay. A 15. All right, you just beat him even with his advantage. So you come in and you basically leap into the air and just drive your shoulder into his ribs and arm, and you hear something kind of pop as he yelps and lets go of Paula. She stumbles a few steps forward as she's suddenly released, and this guy goes sprawling back into the carriage and sort of loses his footing. Cloak is gone. He's back.
He's back almost.
Yeah, that's a good stuff.
So at this point, Cloak, you hear a bunch of voices sort of raise in a disjointed cry as figures begin running out of the alleyways on either side of the street toward the carriages. You hear the twanging of crossbow strings, and bolts begin whistling in and thunking into the sides of the carriages, and 3 of the guards double over in pain as crossbow bolts strike into them. Cloak, the one that you wounded with your blade, a crossbow bolt catches him in the neck, and he spins and sprawls down onto the ground, twitching as a rapidly spreading pool of blood stretches out from underneath him, looking black and slick on the stones. So yeah, there are figures assaulting these guards, streaming out of the alleyways on either side of you, and the Undying Sun soldiers are thrown into immediate disarray.
As that happens, where is everyone else?
You can see Riodan, like hopping up and down triumphantly, and waving shackles around in one hand, and like sort of half-assed looking for keys on the down guard with the other one. And you see Tilly has just like freight trained back towards Paula and smashed her like head and shoulder into the guard that was trying to grapple Paula. You can hear the clattering hooves of the guard on the horse, the sergeant on the horse who's taking Glaz away, and they just go off into the night.
Am I able to quickly release a horse to go after them?
Not really quickly, but you could get back to the second carriage and try to work on getting one free. Yeah.
Okay. Because I'm gonna try to do that and be like, the chocolates and the tablets, and very panically is like on the horse and like trying to like cut it loose. In that way.
So you sort of sprint away from the guard that just took a crossbow bolt to the throat and fell dead at your feet. You sprint back toward the second carriage, waving your blade. Why don't you make me an animal handling check with disadvantage as you wave a flaming blade in front of a horse?
That'd be a 16.
Okay. You manage to spook and startle the horse, but it doesn't panic. You manage to soothe it enough that it doesn't bolt immediately, and you start trying to get under the yoke and cut the harness away. Landis, what are you doing?
Yeah, so how close has Landis managed to get?
You are at this point. You're kind of like on the heels of these red cloaked ruffians that are assaulting the caravan. So you're maybe 60 feet away.
Okay, and they are specifically targeting the guards, right? I've not seen them go after this other group.
Right, they are specifically targeting the guards.
Okay, then I'm not going to worry about them for this moment. I am going to, where are the guards positioned right now?
They're just sort of scattered all over the place. You see there are several clustered up near the front of the first wagon where one of the horses is gone. You see several are basically staggering backward, nursing crossbow wounds, and a couple have actually been dropped.
Okay, how many are left?
Quick glance, you'd say 8 all told, but they're kind of spread out and in various sort of states of disarray and might have other things to worry about, like, steel-clad dwarves.
Yeah, okay, good to know. Whichever ones are not actively engaged in what's this group's combat, I want to, whichever one's closest to me and not actively fighting with one of the people I'm supposed to be saving, I would like to shoot a good old Eldritch Blast at it.
Okay, what does your Eldritch Blast look like when you fire it off?
Oh man, so the cool thing is that because I am made of metal, it's almost like it starts in my shoulders and there's like a crackling of energy and it just starts to come down the little gears and the different pieces of my arm and circle around it and make this almost lightning-like energy that I shoot out from my hands, and it's kind of, the whole thing kind of lights up like a bit of a firework or an electrical explosion.
Yeah, like a transformer on a power line.
Yeah, it's like a
overloading.
Exactly. It looks just like a transformer blowing.
So the rest of you see this blue and white sort of sparkle of light with this low, almost humming crackle, and there's this snap as this energy discharges out of an alleyway toward one of the guards. Are you firing one blast or 2?
I will eventually fire 2. Do you want me to do both of them at the same time?
As you like.
One was a 13 and one was an 8.
All right, so these guys are wearing chainmail and shields. So he actually spins and lifts his shield and kind of ducks behind it, and the energy scatters off of the metal surface of the shield and scours the sunburst device that's on it, and actually drives him back a step. He blocks both of the bolts.
Lame.
He is. All right. So what are the rest of you doing now that you can see bandits of some sort assaulting your captors.
Tilly's gonna try to get Rita and come over and help her get out of her shackles again. Rita,
I've
whatever
already
you
done
do,
it.
get over here. No,
Oh,
no, you
fine. I'll scurry over to give it another go.
All right. So at this point, you can see Rowen sort of force her way out of the door, and something is really screwed up with the guards back in her carriage. They're like swinging wildly and kind of scrabbling around. It looks like they are somehow disoriented. They're having a lot of trouble, and you can see that Rowen actually has a key ring in her hands as she comes out and like shaking it. She says, "I've got it."
Oh, good. Yes, that'll
So,
also do.
Do you want to do anything else? You know that they took your stuff and put it up in the chest in the driver's board
Yeah,
of
I'm
the
gonna-
carriage.
I'm gonna try and get up there to get my stuff. Those are my
Okay.
crap.
You can just kind of clamber up the short ladder, hop up, flip the lid open, and you can see yours and Tilly's weapons and your holy symbol in there.
Ha! I toss any bits I can back down to the party.
Yep. Or you can just kind of, I mean, you can even just pick up the whole chest if you want. Up to
Just
you.
pick up the chest, yeah. All right, let's go.
Let's go. I got the shit.
It's like a Pirates of the Caribbean scene right now. On top of a wagon, I've got a chest. Come on!
All right. So Ryodan hops up. He kind of hefts this chest up and just hops down the other side. Let's go. All right. Cloak, what you doing? You're cutting the horse free?
Yeah.
Okay. You managed to cut the horse loose of its harness.
Okay. I start taking off directly where the galloping was.
Okay. It has a pretty decent head start on you. And it was basically just headed down the road toward the bridge.
Towards the bridge. Is there any way I can take a shortcut?
Boy.
I need the kobold.
The problem is you're on a long island.
Oh, okay.
And you could maybe try to cut through alleyways if you wanted, although that would be difficult and dangerous, probably.
Are we? So we're past the gullet right now, or where are we?
You guys are toward the edge of the gullet. Sorry, you're not at the gullet. You're over at the pastures.
Okay.
You're near the stone bridge at the north end of the pastures.
And north is okay.
Sorry,
okay,
not north. The up end of the pastures.
Oh, the up end. Okay.
Yeah, so it's west.
Okay. And they're going towards Zobek, or are they going away?
Towards Zobek.
Towards Zobek.
Towards Zobek for sure. In fact, you know that at the other end of that bridge is the gate to the Citadel.
Yeah. Okay. So I am an urban ranger at the same time.
You are?
What the fuck? Hold on. I wonder. I'm trying to remember if that gives me something to help me out here.
Not in particular.
No.
It can help in various ways. Not in this sort of situation.
Difficult terrain doesn't slow my group's travel.
Yeah.
Would that help me get through the alleyways faster?
It doesn't really help you in combat. It's really for like overland travel. So that doesn't really kick in here, unfortunately.
Okay. You know what? I'm gonna try to cut them off. I'm gonna go through alleyways and try to get at them as best I can.
Okay. So why don't you give me a dexterity check? Do you have animal handling proficiency? Sorry, animal handling is not dexterity.
Charisma.
Yeah, it's charisma.
I think.
So why don't you give me a dexterity animal handling check with disadvantage?
Okay, so at disadvantage. So this will be. I'm going to do acrobatics because that's essentially the same thing as what you just said.
Yeah,
so,
if you're proficient in animal handling, then yeah.
No, I'm not.
Then it's just
I'm
dexterity.
not. Okay, it's just dexterity. Okay.
So straight dex check with disadvantage.
9.
9. All right. So you cut down the alleyway and you find yourself sort of face to face with one of those straggling bandits. And for a moment, you kind of like it takes you aback a little bit because they're all wearing these crimson cloaks. And for a moment, you're like, oh, is it the guys? And no, this is most assuredly a human. Although you do see some other small figures in the bandit cadre wearing these red cloaks, and you end up the horse kind of balks rather than trample over him, and so you lose a little time as the horse skids around this individual who sort of curses at you, and as you turn down the alleyway, you find yourself having to pick your way around and jump over just a lot of crates and trash and obstacles and other things that are in your way. It's not a clear path you've ended up taking, unfortunately.
Okay. I'm still trying to beeline it the best way I can.
Right. Paula smashes her elbow into the other guard who's trying to get back to his feet, and you can hear his nose crack and blood pour down his face as she kind of clears the way for Rowen to come out, and Rowen starts fumbling with the key in your manacles. And in a few seconds, she has you free.
Okay. As soon as Tilly's free, she's gonna make her way back, stepping probably over again and on the guards that might still be in the mud. I hope to get towards Riordan where the chest is, because he was like, "This is our stuff. Let's go."
Okay, so after Paula gets finished pulping this poor bastard's nose and lips, she kind of hucks herself up, grabs the chest, and just pulls it down and grunts as she takes the weight of it on her shoulder. Right, Landis. You can see that the bandits are now charging into close combat with the knights, and you can see that these people are starting to gather their things from the carts and kind of just sort of look for a place to go at this point. Like, Riordan has this chest and he's looking around like, let's go! But he clearly doesn't have a plan.
Which way do we go?
Riordan!
I'm gonna forget every time. Are you just like holding the chest, or are you guys trying to like put your gear on?
Just holding it at the moment. Yeah, putting the stuff on I think would take too long.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
just look at the gear.
Friends,
Then
which way is the big brute?
I want to run up and attempt to get it. So no one is in the third cart right now, right?
No, none of the people you're trying to make off with are in the third cart anymore.
Okay. Are any of the guards in the cart though?
Oh, there are some laid out guards in the third cart, yes.
Okay. Then I am going to run up and yell, "Get in the cart," and just run towards the cart, and then I'm going to try to push the dumb guard out, whichever ones are laying down. And
okay.
Once I've done, yeah. And then I want to try to get up, like, where you can drive it.
Okay, so you're going to go up and like haul the downed guards out of the third cart, and then take hold of the reins. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So so the rest of you see this gear forged, and if you want to describe yourself in a little bit more detail, Landis, you can, as they get a decent look at you for the first time.
I feel like this is crazy, and no one is even gonna notice what I look like aside from Robot.
Fair. So an iron figure comes running out of the darkness, cloak flapping, with these bolts of crackling energy kind of lancing between its fingertips, and the glowing green eyes sort of swing in your direction as it urges you to get in and takes hold of the reins.
I follow the command. All right, this is the plan.
All right.
It's my friend. I don't recognize his friend.
Okay. So Tilly, getting into the cart, or
Honestly, Tilly, seeing Paula hold on to the chest is going to help her try to like move the way towards the cart with it. If Paula's going in that direction at this point, she's just
okay.
because that's our
so-
gear in the chest.
So basically, yeah, if she sees the gear forged climbing up and urging you all to get in the carriage, she looks at you and kind of quirks an eyebrow questioningly, like, "We doing this?"
Let's go. They're all running that way, so they're only escapable.
All right, so
I suppose.
she nods once, just kind of chucks the chest into the carriage, climbs up aboard, and holds out her hand for you.
Tilly takes it. All right, let's go.
All right, so you climb up, and Rowen sort of clambers in after you, sort of panting and muttering to herself. So Cloak, why don't you make me another dexterity check with disadvantage as you're trying to push your way through the alleys? See if you can make up some time.
16. I'm sorry.
16. All right, pretty good. So you managed to clear the obstacle field finally, and you get into a series of alleyways that are relatively open, and it allows you to make up some lost time. As you approach through and between the buildings, you know that there is sort of a curtain wall that goes around the outside of the pastures, and toward the western side of it, there is essentially a garrison or a watchtower. And you can hear very distantly ahead of you, sort of echoing through the city streets, you can hear the clattering of the other horses' hooves and the shouts of the sergeant. And as you finally break out from the alleyways back onto the road, you can see that there is a massive shape swooping down from the watchtower toward the street. There is a figure with a lance with a snapping pennon kind of caught in the wind from the tip of his weapon. Their weapon, you can't really make out who it is. This figure is half standing in the saddle that is strapped to the back of a massive black and gray speckled griffin. The creature opens its beak and lets out this shrill falcon-like cry, and it beats its wings as it swoops down and sort of comes to a landing in the middle of the road, sort of between you and the galloping sergeant. And the figure sort of plants the lance in the stirrup and begins looking around.
Oh, so he got in my way.
Yes, the Griffin Knight has come down from the watchtower and is sort of in the middle of the road. And beyond them, you can see the basically every now and then in the streetlights as they flash by, maybe around 200 feet away from you at this point, the other horse is up ahead. Approaching the bridge.
Is there a way around the Griffin Knight at all?
I mean, at this point, it's sort of in front of the watchtower, not terribly far from the bridge. You think you might be able to loop around behind some other buildings, but you also know that if you don't take some sort of cover, you're going to be spotted pretty immediately.
Oh, okay. I'm going to cast Pass Without Trace.
Okay.
And I want to try to get past this guard as fast as possible.
So remember that Pass Without Trace just makes it easier for you to hide. You still have to actually hide, which means you'll have to get out of sight, duck back into the alleys,
Okay,
something.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Okay.
It's not like a cloaking field. It doesn't let you run around in the middle of the street and not be noticed.
Let me. God, I'm trying to think how I get past this guy. Is there another alley that I can cut down that will get around him?
So there's a row of buildings up against the road across the street from the watchtower, the sort of the buildings that you came out. You think you could duck back behind the buildings and then sort of edge your way around, sort of as
Yeah.
you already did. But again, like, if you want to not be noticed, you will definitely have to hide. Because just, I mean, even if you're, like, if you just gallop the horse down, then you're definitely going to be spotted. Or heard.
Okay. Shit. Because I'm trying to stop this person. And my boots of springing, they make me faster. Is there anything else that they... What are the boots? Boots of swift striding. They just added 10 feet to my movement, I think. Let me see here. If I dash, that's times 4. That's 120 feet. Plus, if I did Misty Step for one last time, that'd be 150 feet. They'd still be too far for me to reach out to them. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do the edging. I'm going to take cover. But
Okay.
I'm also going to actively look for something to get me to the midway to the bridge before they do. I don't know what that's going to be, but I don't think there's going to be anything.
You can, yeah, I mean, we can try it. Let's see. So you're going to hide. So why don't you go ahead and make me a dexterity stealth check. And if you're using Pass Without Trace, if you're casting Pass Without Trace, you can add your plus 10 bonus.
No, I'm going to do it normal. I'm going to hang on to my spell because I might need it. 7, wait. I don't know. No, that's wrong. Here we go. 22.
Okay, very good. So you kind of haul on the reins of the horse and pull it around to the side before you burst out onto the street proper and just into the open. And then you nudge it down to a walk to try and creep past in the darkened alleyways around this Griffin Knight to try and not be seen or heard. So it is painfully slow going at this point, maddeningly slow. But you're pretty sure that given the darkness and the cover you've taken behind the buildings, you don't think the knight spotted you. So you're making your way around the side of the knight toward the bridge, desperately trying to get there but not be seen. Landis, as you're loading everyone up on the final carriage, the one that actually still has a horse attached to it, you take a moment, or you feel sort of a prickle in the back of your head, and you take a moment to shift your perceptions to a higher vantage point. And during this moment, you can see the little flaming sword darting through the alleyways. That is Cloak riding his horse, trying to desperately cut off the sergeant taking their friend away. And you see from this higher perception, you see the Griffin Knight sort of swoop down off of the top of the tower where it was keeping watch, down onto the road, and sort of covering the escape of this sergeant mounted on a horse. If you spend some time watching, you can see that Cloak is sneaking around now, trying not to be spotted by the Griffin Knight, but it is definitely making it so that he's not going to be able to catch the guard on the horse. And you watch as the sergeant carrying the trollkin gallops his horse across the stone bridge and through the gate, and you can hear the faint sort of tinny shouts, and the gate begins to rattle closed.
Okay.
So you also know that the direction you were planning to take the cart, there is a Griffin Knight waiting there on alert.
All right, I want to tell Cloak with my voice that he's not going to catch up and he needs to turn around. And then I want to take the cart in the opposite direction.
Okay, your vantage point sort of swoops down toward Cloak. Cloak, then you hear those exact words from that disembodied voice that you recognized from before.
Can I ride the horse back to the party. Where was the party?
The party was outside of Zobek proper at the Zealous estate, so yes, if you wanted to take the horse back there, you could. Bear in mind, you do know that at least a sizable part of the detachment of soldiers that arrested you were still at the estate last you knew.
Okay. I am going to go back there. I'm going to get Puff Puff.
Okay.
Because shit's hitting the fan. I need Puff Puff.
All right. Okay, so at this point, Landis, as the remainder of the guards are very heavily preoccupied, and now that their panicked confusion begins to wear off, you can see that they snap into this military precision. Their drilled reflexes and skills push through their confusion and surprise and snap back to the forefront, and they begin mounting a very effective defense against these brigands. In fact, you can see that 4 of the Red Cloak bandits have already been cut down, and the soldiers are sort of forming themselves into a pike and sword and shield phalanx.
Well, dang.
So they are quite occupied as you snap the reins and haul hard to the right and just U-turn this thing back the way you can. You know that there is another bridge called the Puffing Bridge that will lead into the Collegium District over to the east. So you can swing wide around the pastures and get into Zobek that way, assuming that the guards haven't managed to send word ahead.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna try to do that, and I am gonna I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna turn around, and I would like to also send some help in case Cloak needs it. Make sure he's got my magic bean with him.
Okay, no problem.
What?
All right, so we're going to just sort of fast forward a little bit then, because with the guards preoccupied, the Knights of the Undying Sun very heavily preoccupied by defending themselves against the Red Cloaks, and Cloak now doubling back away from the Griffin Knight, you find yourselves essentially with a scot-free getaway from this point. The cart rumbles over the cobblestones, sweeps wide to the east and across the wooden bridge into the Collegium District. Where would you like to take these people?
I am gonna, first of all, when we get to a good alleyway or something like that, I'm gonna swing the cart into the alleyway and say, everybody out, we gotta drop this cart, and follow me.
There are plenty of alleyways in and about near the Collegium where you can sort of swing it into the dark spaces between storefronts and residences and just sort of abandon it there. The rest of you, this takes several minutes, of course, so you can at this point very easily retrieve all of your equipment that was stashed and disseminate it to everyone who needs it.
How far are we from my place?
From your place, I'm going to say tentatively that you live sort of on the border between Upper Zobek and the Merchant District. So that is probably... Is there a scale on this map? There is. Haha.
Probably pretty far.
Probably a little more than a quarter mile. So
how long does that take to run? I don't exercise, so
to sprint, it wouldn't take you that long. If you want to go more subtly and avoid attracting notice. So I mean, you can run there in a couple.
What's the plan here?
You can just run straight there, sort of as direct as possible in a few minutes.
Okay.
Take you longer if you want to be subtle about it.
Okay, I'm gonna turn around and look at them and say, I don't have time to explain something. We need to get back to my place. Just follow me and try to be quiet. And I'm gonna take them, but I want to try to not just
every time I heard that.
I don't want to take them just straight down the main road. I'd rather try to stealth it a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
and
if you want to swing wide, not just take the main the main avenue straight up the middle there. You could skirt the Citadel district toward the west, which would take longer, but at least would give you more cover and let you kind of dodge the main roads.
Yeah, I want to do that. And I also would like to, as they're getting their stuff on, I'm going to pause and just close my eyes, and I'm going to whisper in Cloak's ear and say, when this is all over, this is where you go. And then I'll tell him the address.
Okay.
Do I know that address?
I mean, it's good enough for you to find.
Okay.
You don't know it in particular, no. It's not like, oh yeah, I play poker there. Yeah, no. No, you can find it.
Yes, I'm a gambling
all
man.
right. Yeah. So the rest of you spend. I assume the rest of you are just going to follow this Gear Forged, or what? Do you
When Landis stops moving for a moment to close their eyes, Tilly leans in to read and goes, "Is this another one of the people you know? Is this another dealer? Is this what's happening?"
I don't know. Honestly, I'm starting
How'd
to
you get your
think-
hands free? How did you get your hands free? How did you get my hands free?
I'm starting to think maybe I've never met this person before, but it's awkward. I meet a lot of people. I'm quite famous around here, so, I don't want to, obviously he thinks a lot of me to save me, so just play it cool like I remember who he is.
So you owe him. All right. She keeps walking.
Probably.
I spent several months very high.
All right.
It's entirely possible, really. It's
That's-
more
that's
likely
fair.
than it's a random event.
Okay, so the rest of you basically sort of hunker and you're like, all right, shit, follow the Gear Forged. I don't know. And Paula just sort of watches you and says, well, they've gotten us this far, and we definitely need to get off the street, and I don't think it's a good idea to go back to the Silk Scabbard at this point. They obviously know who you are. If the rest of your people
I
haven't been
agree.
arrested yet, they probably soon will.
That was so last season. We need a new hangout,
Well, all right. So, Landis, you begin leading them on a sort of slower, wider, but much less noticeable route through the city. You stick near the River Derry, which you know will lead you to a bridge that'll take you into your district, and from there it's a pretty short walk to home. Cloak, as you're riding back toward the Zealous estate, you can see... I will also assume, by the way, Landis, that you tried to douse or get rid of the glowing sun lantern as you rode off into the night with the stolen carriage.
Yes, if there was a glowing
Yes.
sun lantern, I would like to put
Indeed,
that out.
there is. Yes. There's a mithril and gold, white sort of enameled lantern glowing with the intensity of the sun, and you fiddle with it for a while. It's very clearly magical, but you do manage to douse it, so it looks like it has an actual flame that you
Wouldn't
can
even
cover
care
up.
about dousing it. I would just throw
just chuck it?
off the side of
Okay.
the cart. Yeah, fuck that light.
All right. As you guys are turning around and heading toward the bridge, Landis just grabs it and heaves it off toward the river.
You hear Cloak go,
All right.
that's what money.
Yeah. All right. So,
Oh, don't worry,
Cloak.
I got money.
Cloak, you're riding out of town into the dark towards the Zealous estate, and you can see that bright glowing light, now not as intense as it was, that several of the lanterns have been attached to the carriages and have been left behind at the pastures, but you can see that sun glow is still lighting the courtyard, the front yard of the Zealous estate.
Is there any supplies on this horse as I'm riding out there?
Yeah, you are riding bareback. It was set up to pull it was set up to pull a wagon, not to be ridden.
As we get close, I'm gonna bring it down to a trot, and then send the horse back to the city, and having it right off that way. And now I'm casting Pass Without Trace, and I'm breaking in to get Puff Puff.
Okay, so you send the you send the horse sort of trotting its way back down the path toward the city, and as you slip off the road into the grass, the darkness and shadows of the night just sort of ooze up like mist and swirl around you, muffling your footsteps and blurring your visage from sight. So you make your way up to the Bower, which is the somewhat pretentious name of the Zealous Estate. Do you want to go right up to the front gate? Because you can see horses, you see another carriage with one of those sun lamps, and several knights and soldiers around it.
Yes. I want to see what's in the carriage. I don't want to be in the light of the sun lamps. I want to keep a distance because I think they might be revealing. So...
Right. So you make your way up and around and kind of swing wide off to the left. You come up through some of the shaped, like, topiaries and shrubs that are in the front lawn that decorate it. As well as the flower gardens in the front there. You creep your way up, and it looks like it's another one of those... it's like essentially either a troop carrying wagon or a prisoner transport wagon, depending on how you decide to use it. It looks just like one of those other ones. It doesn't look like there's anyone inside it at this moment. It looks like there are 3 soldiers out in front of it, and you can see that there are folks moving around inside the house. The front doors have been closed, but you can see through the windows to the well-lit interior, and you can see Anastasia is... I assume you're going to kind of make your way around and get the lay of the land, that sort of deal. So as you make your way around toward the back of the house, you see the hedge maze that Vandesian Thrick, in his, drug-addled, drunken stupor, sort of wandered off into. At the end of the party, once you woke him back up, and there's a wide sort of marble patio, and the doors that lead into the ballroom are closed now as well, but they are glass, and the shades are the curtains are open, so you can see in one of the sitting areas amongst just the remains of carnage. There are several dead house soldiers, a couple of dead party guests from some of the collateral damage that happened in there. You see these dark, greasy sprays of ash that are the remains of the vampire spawn that you slew. You can see where the wood of the dance floor is scorched and charred and blistered where the pit fiend arose, and the flames of its arrival gouged and torched the wood. And there is just blood and chaos, and you can see that there's like a small fitful effort of some of the servants to clean that up, but they are kind of off in the wings. You can see Anastasia seated, her back straight, her hands folded in her lap, and her eyes hard and angry, as she seems to be in a sort of intense conversation with that mustached knight captain who led these people.
Do I see Puff Puff?
You swing around a little bit, and you can see behind one of the tables that's near the sofa where she's sitting, you can see that Puff Puff is laying by her feet.
Okay. I'm gonna try to get Puff Puff's attention. And and it's gonna be like, if I can see like the window, maybe doing like a very like light tapping or scratching.
Sure. You creep your way over. Why don't you make me a dexterity stealth check, please?
Okay. Add 10 to this.
Correct.
Okay. 34.
Woo! All right. So you ghost silently up to the side window, and they're like floor-to-ceiling sort of things with these square panes of glass, and you can see Puff Puff's haunches and like the back of her barding and saddle straps, and her tail is sort of slunk low on the floor, and her face is resting on her paws. As she just, and you can see her eyes doing that kind of dog thing as they just sort of move from one person to the other as they talk.
Like I would do like a little bit of motion and like try to get her attention and like do like light scratching. That would like only a dog could really pick up.
Right. You know that her senses are quite quite sharp. So you kind of scratch faintly at the window, and with that stealth check, that's plenty to cover it from any unwelcome ears. You see her ears do prick up, and she sort of looks around, stands, and just kind of pads around the table and is looking in your direction. I assume you're going to reveal yourself to her a little bit, like, up against the door. Okay, so you get her attention, and her tail immediately starts to swoosh. And so she starts trotting forward and stops, looks at the door, looks back at the people who are in deep conversation behind her. You see several other of those Knights of the Undying Sun as well, kind of not exactly guarding the door, but they're guarding the door, if you know what I mean. And so Puff Puff sort of walks behind the sofa to where people can't get a good look at her, looks over at you, her tongue lolls out in a big old doggy grin, and she disappears in this golden glimmer of sparkles and appears often kind of in the hedge maze just behind you.
Then I run up to her, and I was like, okay, we're going. And I get on her and ride off.
All right. As you swing into the saddle, she says, "Where's everyone else? Are they all right?"
We have to go to... Oh, no, I forgot the address. Okay, well, we'll find them.
All right. So the rest of you are taken by this Gearforged into sort of the upper/merchant district kind of blend border area of Zobek. It's very nice. The streets are well maintained. The houses are clearly expensive and are the homes of wealthy, influential families or successful merchants. Other business owners, perhaps even some of the clergy might live here. Even some of the city government who don't stay in the Citadel proper might live in this vicinity, if not this exact street. The Gearforged leads you under bright, well-maintained, some of them magically ignited street lamps, and leads you up to a stout oak door.
Landis will open the door and invite everyone in. And as you all file into the house/storefront, because you can tell it's definitely a shop, but it's also where he lives. So you can see a room, a doorway leading to a room in the back that you figure is probably where he sleeps or does whatever he does. But this is the first time that you're really able to see him where you're not running or being someone is not trying to kill you. And what you see is about a 6 foot tall Gearforged. He's made entirely of iron, but it's a really, really dark iron, like almost a gunmetal gray color. And you don't really know if that's because it's older and weathered or if that's just the way it came, but either way, it is pristine. He obviously takes very good care of his body. He has to keep it in working order. And he, at first, you're just kind of like, oh, wow. He's scary. He's a giant robot. And then you look a little closer and there's this really intricate design covering every inch of his body. And it's all swirls and whirls and filigree style. But you look a little bit closer and you see that it's all done in a gold and silver inlay. So it's very, very intricate, and you've never seen a Gearforged like this. There are definitely some in the city, and they do not have this type of design all over them. And something kind of catches in the light, and you see that there are these what look like tiny diamonds just embedded in different points in the filigree design where the pieces connect and swirl together and things. But probably the most striking thing that you would linger at is his eyes. Most Gearforged have very, like a flat front with like a Star Trek style thing, or they have kind of faked eyeballs that are made of the same type of material the rest of them are made of. But his are different. His are mimic mimic a human a lot more. It's still made out of metal, but it's copper. The actual eyeballs are copper, and then within each one, the iris itself is a glimmering emerald. And when you look close, if you didn't know better, you'd think they almost glowed a little bit from within, but just I don't know. It's like, do they or don't they? And only when the light hits a certain way. And so he looks at all of you. A little. It's hard to tell with him being a Gearforged, but he looks a little annoyed at how much effort that took. And he says, well, welcome to my store, my home. I am Landis. It is I don't know, a pleasure to meet all of you, I guess. And you're welcome. Also, who are you? Why did I just risk my body to save you?
Obviously, you know who I am.
Time to pay
but,
your friend, you know.
Obviously,
yes,
I would know.
These are the rest. You know who I am, seeing as you set me free.
No,
Are you denial?
I have no idea who you are.
Before?
No, I've never seen you or met you.
Right.
Yes.
But you've heard of me.
Well, I don't know your name, so no.
Just by reputation, then. Well, I'm Riordan, and these here are my friends. This is Tilly.
Hello.
Tilly likes to hit things and has a bear.
Oh, can you repeat that? I'm so sorry. The program hiccuped and I didn't hear any of what you just said.
Tilly has a bear.
Hey,
likes to hit
its name's Bear. Clever.
It's a good name for a bear, to be honest.
I mean, it knows its place, so it's a bear. That's a great bear. And she's like kicking one off her at the same time.
At this point, Rowen is fretting a little bit, and Paula looks at all of you and says, Cloak rode off on one of those horses.
Oh, don't you worry about that. I have a friend with him. He's got some help.
All right.
And I kind of, you close my eyes for just a second, and y'all are like, what the hell is going on? But I close my eyes and I concentrate, and then I open my eyes again and I said, he's fine. He's got his dog, or that thing is, maybe it's not a dog, I'm not sure. It's a little weird, but he's got his dog with him.
I think it's a big rat.
That dog thing?
Yeah.
Maybe. I like its eyes.
Right. Well, good Cloak will be fine. He often goes off and, does things by himself. The old ritual here, the old murder there. Just kidding.
You said you have a friend with him. Is he coming here? Should we wait for him?
Yeah, we'll wait here. I've directed him to join us. Hopefully he will be here shortly. I know they're on their way. And I am not 100% sure what I'm supposed to do with you now. So I guess you can just leave.
Did someone put you up to this? One of my friends, perhaps, reached out to you? Sort of friend of a friend sort of thing?
I don't know who he's friends with, but I was hired, yes, to go create a distraction of sorts.
All right, so Paula says, why don't we wait till Cloak gets here, and then we can all go through it together. So a few minutes pass, and Cloak and Puff Puff, you arrive at the address you were given. Here and there along the way, you see several City Watch patrols. For the most part, they don't really pay you any mind. Several of them might recognize you and know you, having been, around the city. You're distinctive enough that they remember having seen you before and just sort of maybe eyeball you a little bit because you're out pretty late, but otherwise let you go on your way, because adventurers are like that.
Okay. Yeah, I would make sure that, when I go to the address, I'm, very paranoid, and I go around and like take like a back way to get there. Make it look like I went somewhere else and then come back, because I don't know who's working with who right now, and I feel like I should put on a tinfoil hat.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Why don't you go ahead and make me a dexterity stealth check just to see how well you cover your tracks?
I still have Pass Without Trace on, I believe, unless it's been.
What does it last?
Quite a long time.
10
An hour?
minutes? An hour? Yeah, it's fine then. Still going.
There we go. Thank you. 20.
Okay. You are pretty sure that if there was any pursuit, you have lost it.
Okay.
So you find your way to the address, and you can see the door is shut. Probably curtains are closed, but you can see there's light inside, kind of low light, like maybe lamp or candle.
Right before you approach the door, it opens in front of you.
Ah,
I
there
say,
you go.
right on time. Come on in. New friend.
Wait, who are you?
The aforedescribed
Landis.
Gearforged greets you at the
Do I
door.
recognize the voice?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. I sit there and I go, who do you work for? Why do you want me?
I'm sorry. I don't want you. I don't work for anyone, really. I was paid to create a distraction in order to get you and your friends out of the situation you were in. Can you come inside? This is a little conspicuous.
No one's around.
Yeah, Cloak, come on in. We've not been murdered yet. And if he was going to, then he probably wouldn't have set us free in the first place.
How'd you know I was here? I'm very quiet.
And as I'm walking in.
Oh. Yeah. I say, okay, come on in, and I'll close the door, and I'll say, I had a friend with you, Edwin, feel free. And in front of you, you see all of a sudden, kind of sitting on my shoulder, a little imp. And
All right, yeah, there's a ripple in the air, and there is a tiny red-skinned devil with pointy ears and a bald head and a bulbous nose and bat-like wings, very skinny, sort of lithe limbs with a long tail that sort of curls up and ends in a like a scorpion stinger. Its skin is stippled with what looks like molten silver and gold that had been just sort of poured on it and then hardened into these little kind of haphazard decorations all over its body. And it grins wide with these needle-like teeth and says, "Hello, friends."
He's a big help.
I almost used primeval awareness while we're back at the house to see if I could locate Faye, and I would have totally sensed that. God damn. Okay. So
you totally would have.
At this point, I would just look, and I would not be like phased that an imp showed up. I'd be like,
Okay. You and the little friend there, so you were paid by someone, so you're working for someone, because that's how that works. So who paid you?
I mean,
and I'm
not my boss. I'm like offended now. I'm like, he's not my boss. I work for myself,
Sounding
okay?
a lot like your boss.
Okay, you know what? You can work for yourself, but you're working for someone because you're paying you. So
You're like a
contracted
contractor. I've done all
It
the
was
paperwork for this
more-
stuff.
No. It was more, I was getting paid, but I did it more out of curiosity than anything. The man was very interesting.
Heard that before.
Okay.
Are you willing to describe the man, or at least tell us who he is, or did he request privacy on the project?
Does he look like me?
Do I remember his name? Because Birdie doesn't. It's Lord something or other.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, you remember his name is Lord Graymark.
Yeah, sure. I don't care. His name is Lord Graymark.
So that's your friend.
that guy.
Probably my friend.
So yeah, all of you
Friends of
certainly
lords.
remember. You all certainly remember that name, as Paula was imploring you not to go into the party with weapons blazing because people like Lord Graymark were present. And Paula's eyes sort of widen when she hears that. And Cloak, the fellow who didn't seem to succumb to the poison that knocked everybody else out, that was most assuredly Lord Graymark.
Oh, that guy. Okay.
You remember one guy who was like, "Oh, yeah," and put the wine down and was just like, "Well, I'm out."
Yeah.
Well, everybody else
He just
went
bounced.
unconscious. Yeah. He's like, "No, I don't want any of this."
One of these again.
thing-
Another murder party.
The gold inlay on the imp, does it mimic the ice devil I saw?
No.
Okay.
The Ice Devil was very, it was very intricate and ornate. The imp looks like, imagine a bunch of molten metal being strained through a colander and just sort of dripping on him. It's kind of looks like that. Very random.
Oh,
Yeah, like molten metal dripped on him and hardened.
okay. And that's not a normal imp look?
Not really, no.
I don't think.
No, it's not. It's not one that you've ever encountered before. Perhaps it's just sort of an affectation. Like instead of getting a
Okay.
nose piercing, he did this.
Okay.
Okay, so who knows Lord Graymark?
I'm
Well,
sorry.
All
What
of us
was your
do
name?
somewhat, right?
Little one. Hi. What was your name?
Wait, what?
I said, what was
Oh,
your
that's
name?
Cloak.
Yeah, I'm
Cloak.
Cloak.
Got it.
Why did you call me Little
Thank
One?
you. Didn't.
When Tilly hears little one, she
Probably 'cause
stands
you're
taller.
I know, I might be one of the tallest people here.
All right. Well, certainly now that Glaz is gone.
Exactly. Yeah, you know, the more people we lose, it's really just a numbers game.
So are we gonna
Sooner or
go
later,
break
I'll be the
out?
tallest person. in the world.
You do realize they have Glaz and the tablets, right? The weird.
Oh, they do. I thought you
Yeah.
got him.
Edwin
No,
tried
I
to get
tried
the
to
tablets. It didn't work out.
Oh no!
Sorry.
No!
Well, that seems like
Yeah, he
half a
said they're
job
bad news.
done. If you ask me.
I mean, that wasn't what we're getting paid for. So,
Well, I mean, we really need to get those because I feel like when people that shouldn't have them, you know.
I mean, I was
Shit
uncomfortable when Glass had them, but even more so now. Yes.
So I'm
Yeah.
imagining the tablets weren't really a part of your order from this fella.
No. My job was to get you guys out of there, and then that was really it. He said he didn't care where you ended up. I don't necessarily understand, but for some reason, you're important.
Well, yeah, you're gonna help
Well,
us break our friend out. Okay,
Stands
so this is
taller.
what we're gonna do.
Like, oh, all right. Strokes her braid beard. Yeah.
How much did he pay you to save us?
Oh, it was 100 gold. It was a good sum.
Okay, so I'll give you 100
Yeah.
gold to come save our friend out of the Citadel.
Wait. Who's to say? Why are we paying hundreds of gold pieces for this man's service? After all, we've done pretty well in the past on our own.
Well, I
Yeah,
mean-
it seems as though
debatable,
you're
but
down
yeah.
one member. And also, someone is now trying to arrest you and murder you, so could always use a little more help.
Well,
Well, the way
you
I
can-
see
you
it,
can-
you're also, culpable, guilty now, seeing as you've allied yourself with us, wanted criminals, and I'm sure plenty of people saw you there. So maybe, instead of paying any gold, we could just get yourself out of this one with us.
I made sure that the guards were very distracted by the time I showed up.
Or did you hire the red folk people?
No, I don't know where they came from, but I guess they were in on it. That guy seemed to have a lot of money, so I assume he paid for them as well.
He must have witnessed the events at the party, and after we were so wrongly arrested, decided to help us out. For one reason or
How do
another.
you-
No doubt he
how do
thinks we're useful enough to have
He
the
vouched
mission.
for you. I tried to make sure you weren't the worst people
Really?
in Midgard.
Says Edwin.
He vouched for us.
So
Oh.
clearly we all now owe this guy. And based on Paula's reaction, I don't know if that's a great thing. at the
Someone
moment.
that
Do you
powerful
know
is not
who he is or no?
Give us free unless you want.
I mean, we saw him like once at a party. She mentioned him casually one time, saying to avoid this fella, blah blah blah. But now I'm just,
It's a pillow talk.
I don't know.
Well, he's
No,
You guys
clearly
don't know anything
saved
else
our
about him?
lives.
That's...
No,
I'm
we
confused
never
by
really
this
know
whole
what's
thing.
going on.
Paula kind of clears her throat and she says, "Well, Lord Graymark is the master of coins of Zobek. He's the treasurer for the city.
Is he now?
He used to be one of the counselors. He retired recently. He used to be one of the most powerful people politically in the entire city. I mean,
I'm sure
he
did.
probably still is, to some extent."
So
He obviously wants us for something.
I mean,
Probably a dangerous mission that only a few bands of ne'er-do-wells like ourselves could be available for.
I'm just very
We've
confused
got
on
nothing to lose.
why you told us to potentially avoid him. I mean,
Well, I didn't necessarily want to avoid him. I wanted to avoid going in and starting a fight when people like himself and the consul of the Blue House were there.
Obviously, it worked out in our favor, Paula. Once again, my
as it
daredevil
turns
strategizing has paid off.
Cloak.
Oh.
This is diving back into last season. In the wake of the devil attack on the Silk Scabbard, I think it was you who was skulking about at night, and you saw the detachment of troops that were coming, probably in response to panicked cries of "Oh my God, monsters!" And there was someone who was diverting those troops and stopped them from going into the Silk Scabbard.
Son of a bitch.
That you saw him from a distance. You didn't get a good look. You didn't really recognize him. It was absolutely that guy from the party.
Son of a bitch. Okay, so do you remember when the devils showed up in the Silk Scabbard?
hard to forget.
Anyone? Yeah, well...
It's ringing a bell.
Yeah, I'm sorry, robot
sorry,
person.
devils?
I'm sure... Yeah, devils. Like the one
That
on
was
You
the
the
whole
guys-
thing. I remember it now.
You guys had a party with devils?
Well,
What
no,
kind of
we
devils?
fought devils. Chain
I like
devils,
them already.
devils,
I like him less.
what? Who?
It's all right.
I-
you don't
Edwin
have to
seems
go with them that much longer.
Edwin seems nervous at the idea that you guys were partying with Chain and Horn Devils.
Basically, we fought these devils, yes, those ones. But basically, I was outside before all that, and when the commotion started, there was a man that I couldn't see, but now I put two and two together. It was actually Grayfuck, whatever his name is. It was totally that
Lord
old man.
Graymark.
Lord Grayfuck. So he is totally the one who he was like diverting troops and shit. So yeah, I'm fairly sure that he's looking out for us, and I don't know why.
He wants us for something, obviously. I
But
mean, why else would he save us? There's probably something slightly suspicious that he needs us or wants us to do. That's why he's kept us alive this whole time and gone to incredible cost to do so. Because why? Well, we don't have any scruples. At least I don't. Speaking for myself, I'm one of the worst people I know. And some of you, I hold you in some of the lowest regard in terms of moral fiber.
No, okay,
which
no,
I mean as a
whoa,
compliment.
No.
I mean as a total
I never
compliment
have
to all of
lied.
you. That's why
I
I
am
am.
always... No, everything is always straightforward with us. Don't even...
All right,
don't even put it up.
listen, folks. I
Yeah,
think
it is.
we're all just a little bit tired, getting grumpy. It's late. If you want to stay here tonight, that's fine. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with you, and I don't know when he's coming back. I know he is, but you can stick around until he shows up, or you can go do whatever you want. But I've got a room in the back with a bed for a couple of you. I don't know. If you want to stay here, you're welcome.
Let's lie low for now. Take it easy. See when he shows up. Hear his offer.
But
I
how
don't
do
know
I
why you're all
save
so upset
glass?
by that. I meant that as a compliment.
But we have to
Except
get
glass.
glass. We have to
Oh,
get
right, glass, yes.
Listen,
No,
there's
it was
okay.
fine.
So he is behind the wall. They've got a couple of griffins up there watching out for the place. I don't think rushing in there in the middle of the day or night or whatever time it is. I don't know. I think it's still the middle of the night. Is not going to work out without a plan. So I suggest
More likely
you take
this
a beat
Grey Master
and figure
fellow
out what you're going
might
to
be
do
able to help
next.
us.
Paula
Right.
kind of clears her throat and says, we definitely need to lay low. I mean, are we wanted? Are there going to be posters and notices and bounties on our heads tomorrow morning? The Undying Sun don't... I'm not sure exactly what authority that captain thought he was arresting us on. Clearly he thought he had some claim to it, and she kind of eyes Riodan side-eye a little bit. But there are dead knights in the street now attached to our names, and they have glass. We probably can't just go walking around town. And she seems very upset at that thought. Unless
is
we want to
really
turn
good.
our
I didn't
clothes in.
actually kill any of them.
It'll blow over in a day or two.
No, none of us killed any of them. This is what happened. The individuals with red cloaks showed up, and they kidnapped us. And then, but we broke out from them because they weren't thinking too well. They were good at fighting, but they were stupid, and we got free.
I don't
And
really
did you-
see them taking our favor in the argument already for what's going
Then we
on.
kill all of
Whether
them.
there's,
And
I mean,
did you
look,
say
I'm-
that?
I'm-
Did you say that
No,
the
go ahead,
knights
Paula.
have the lexicon, the tablets?
Yeah.
I mean, you all know what those are. What do you think they're going to do to Glaz once they get anyone who knows anything about it? Clearly, that's why they took him. She kind of shudders. She doesn't even know what to say about it, thinking back to dealing with those things. Yeah, says Edwin. I don't want to see that thing again.
wait, can
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm really late on the numbers game, but did you get paid 100 gold to get all of us? Because in that case, Glaz is an encounter, and now you're on Lord Graymark for the
Ah,
last
see?
party member. I
I
don't.
did. mention.
I don't know how. Sorry, it took me like 40 minutes to make the math out, but I just. I worry for you now. If
You
he's
did the
rich,
math
he'll
right.
come for you.
I got paid 100 gold up front. I mean, so technically, I've
For all,
got
for
money.
all,
But
for all 6 or 5, however many
yeah,
of us.
but then he was going to pay me the
Almost,
rest
yeah.
later. So technically, I am going to be delivering the amount of people for which I've been paid for already, and I could just not take the rest of it.
when
So you're sort of like
later,
a people smuggler now, aren't you?
I don't think that's the right term.
I feel
Listen,
like I've been
what-
smuggled, personally.
I
I thought he liked smuggling. I thought. What?
And that makes you a smuggler. I've been smuggled. Smugged.
Technically,
Smuggled off.
it's only smuggling if you're moving goods. If you're moving people, it's something else entirely.
Have you taken a look at me recently, sir?
Fair.
Wait, I have another question. So, if you have to prove that you captured and returned all of us, but then you said you didn't care where we went, how are you going to have record that we're here?
Oh,
I
you
mean,
don't
this
need to
one,
be
and she
here,
like
and I don't need
gestures
to-
at Cloak. He's great at hiding. I mean, he could
I don't
still
need to
not
prove
exist
that
here.
you're here.
He's
He said he
Right.
literally did not care where you ended up, as long as I got you out of that situation.
Landis's
But here's
problems are
the-
obviously not ours.
Here's the reality of our situation right now. As far as we know, we are wanted. They have Glaz. They know that he's associated with this void magic business. And they've taken him to the Citadel. I can't imagine that they're going to let him live long. We have to do something.
She's not wrong.
And that
Now?
is where we're going to stop for this week.
Whoo! Damn.
Woo!
Okay.
Welcome back, everybody.
Holy moly. Fantastic stuff. Well, my friends, that was episode 1 of season 3 of The Watery Burns. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it as much as we did here, and I certainly had a great time being back with the old crew. It's been too long since we had a chance to mess around, and today's episode was a perfect sort of Pirates of the Caribbean themed welcome back escape prison escape thing, and that was a lot
Bernie
of fun.
Soros, thanks so much for playing with us.
Yeah, it was
Yo,
awesome.
thank
and
you
Landis
for
is,
having
fantastic.
me.
Yeah, well, let's go around to cast and crew. Let's do the old sign off. So, Dan, fantastic job. How was that tonight for you
Thank
being
you.
back in the DM seat?
It's great. I have a lot of rust to knock off, and like I said, I'm dealing with a lot of chaos over here, so I'm way more scattered than I wanted to be, but I feel like this really came together. You guys did a great job. I'm delighted to be playing again, and I can't wait to pick it back up. And I will remind that I'm not going to be available next week since I will be flying to Gen Con, so if any of our lovely viewers or cast, I don't think any of our cast are going to be there, sadly. If any of our viewers are going to be there, I would be happy to say hello and talk Midgard and Dungeons & Dragons. I'd love to. In the meantime, you can find me on Twitter at Dan_Dylan_1. I am a game designer for Wizards of the Coast on the Dungeons & Dragons team, and I am so happy to be back playing Midgard with you guys. I missed it.
Yeah, me too. Fantastic stuff. Obviously, enough of us, but McCloak, how's that tonight for you and Cloak?
Tonight was amazing. I love being back and playing. I'm mad that Glaz got away, and I think Dan threw things purposely to make that happen, such as a giant Griffin rider.
I mean, yeah, you know, what do you do about it?
Sometimes a giant griffin takes you, man.
See if I can get in the cartways to get up into the Citadel. So
That's what I'm talking about.
yeah, that's my plan. That's Cloak's plan because he knows the cartways actually pretty well. So for me, guys, you can catch me at my channel, twitch.tv/McCloakin. Tomorrow night, I'm going to be doing GTA RP, where I'm going to be playing my character, Sergeant Morris of the CID, and doing investigations and shit. And then I think Thursday night, I'm playing a dog. So that's what I'll be doing. And my dog name, the dog character is named Skittles. I pretty much am excited for this. I'm excited to see where this is going to go. I feel like this is going to end up being a jailbreak, and we have to break out a lovely Glaz, or he gets killed. I want to know what is going on with the fucking sun, undying sun people, like if they have a good standing or not. There's a lot of things I want to find out about, but I feel like we're on a time limit and we need to get breakout Glaz. And if we do that, are we going to have to leave Sobek?
Good questions.
Yes, indeed. Okay, fantastic stuff. Simply, great to be back. How was that for you and Tilly tonight?
It was good. I apologize for the shortness of thought process with Tilly and RPing. I have a new schedule. I'm also moving again. I moved from Mississippi to Seattle, and now moving from Seattle to another place in Seattle, and it's been chaotic. It
hear ya.
was just like, let's have fun. Aye. And then, but it was good. I'm happy to meet a Gearforge for the first time in any campaign I've played, so I'm thrilled about it. But just as a preface, I don't know. The internet situation's weird, so hopefully I can get back in the show after this week. We'll see. Everybody bless Comcast, please. So
Please.
But thank you for having me, and thank you for having me back. So, and welcome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wait, you're on this side. Welcome.
Yes, last but not least, Birdie, how's that tonight? Welcome to the crew. Did you enjoy yourself?
Oh, thank you. Yes, obviously. I enjoyed the hell out of that. And thank you so much for inviting me to play. I'm so excited. I was a fan before I started playing, so it's really, really cool cool and surreal to be right in the thick of things with you guys and playing
Yay.
Landis. Yeah. My name is Birdie, aka the Birdie Source. I am all over the internet at that name. Sometimes I stream on my own channel, some variety stuff. But tomorrow night, I'm going to be over on Katie Faze's channel playing a game of monsters and other childish things called Haunted House for the Summer of Spooks. And then Saturday, we're playing Kanata Dark, which is a Cthulhu Dark game, which is real dark and real creepy and real amazing, and I love it. And we're having so much fun. And every other Saturday, I'm over on the Weirdlings channel playing the Heroes of Awesome Dominion of Estland, and we are right in the thick of a lich battle right now. So you guys should watch the next one. Yeah, Sunday after next. That's it.
Dope.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Also follow Scarlet Moth at Scarlet Moth on Twitter. Even though she can't be here for the sign off, she'll be here next episode, not next week, but a week after we're back. What else? Well, next Sunday we're back with another episode of The Last Air here on the Kobold Press channel. We've also got a new series signed with myself. Yeah, it was really, really good last week. If you haven't caught it yet, it's going up to the new Kobold Press YouTube channel, which we'll be sending links out to shortly. And on next Monday, the 29th, I'm doing a new show of myself and Matt Corley, which is a Kobold Guide to Game Mastering with it's like 1 hour long. Each week we're going to take on a different topic and chat for a bit, so that'll be fun. And then of course we're back here not next week, but a week after for some more World Tree Burns here on the Kobold Press channel. If you haven't yet followed the channel, definitely go ahead and do so because the channel is all new and sparkly and clean, so check it out. But that's all we've got time for here tonight. If you want to follow myself, you can follow me at EncounterRP, but of course go and follow Kobold Press on Twitter and follow us here as well to keep up all the stuff we're doing. Until next time, my friends, try not to roll too many now ones. We want to be there laughing when you do. Good night, everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye.